My name is Aidan, also known as Turtleboy.
He is a senior editor for Turtleboy Daily News.
I'm a big fan.
We've broken hundreds of stories that the mainstream media won't touch.
Some blogger in Massachusetts who's getting to the bottom of this better than anybody.
Why is it Turtleboy that is covering such important issues? Where is the rest of the media?
You did not say that you were going to take my baby out of revenge and make him a transgender baby.
Stop it.
Don't you want to ask some questions? I know you do.
I do. I know.
People don't like the things that I say and want me to stop saying them, but I won't. I'm never going to stop. These are the kind of stories that must be told.
It's go time. Tick, tick, boom. Bring the noise. Go, baby, we bringing out toys. Separating from the boys. Chop up the singing, should be on the voice. Bang, bang, we gon' ride out. Gang, gang, we don't die out. Want it like this, ain't no timeouts. Tell me who really gon' find out.
We be disturbing the peace. Working, we serving the streets. About to go ahead, going beast. Bang, bang, leave you sleep.
Tick, tick, boom.
Hard body, and not scaring nobody. You make me resort to wildin'. You must be blind by the diamonds. I didn't want it to be this way, but y'all won't need to try this. So it's no way around it. You the loudest one, it's all quiet. We be disturbing the peace. Working, we serving the streets. About to go ahead, going beast. Bang, bang, leave you sleep.
Hello, what's up, Turtle Riders? How's everyone doing out there tonight? Good, excellent. Welcome to the live show, ladies and gentlemen. Holy cow, we already got 1,542 people waiting for us here. Very cool. Nice to see. How many people we got over in the Rumble? What do we got on Rumble? Let me reset the Rumble here. I see 400 people watching on Rumble, so that's pretty cool. Again, Rumble, guys, for those of you unfamiliar, is kind of like the free speech alternative to YouTube. They're constantly taking our stuff down here. Like, we get videos removed all the time for nonsense. There's nothing we can do about it. And I get suspended all the time for like for 3-year-old videos that these people have no life. They will literally report me all day. Like, there are groups of people dedicated to silencing me. So I'm going to put the Rumble in there. Rumble is just like a free speech alternative to YouTube, where we write out there's a couple of features on Rumble I think that would make it not as good as YouTube, but hopefully they're working on them. So the link for Rumble is there if you want to join it. But I'm not kidding you. These people dedicate their lives to it. Like, there are losers out there who spend their entire existence just worrying about stopping me from talking. And it's been this way for almost 10 years now. It's certainly, a lot of them just gave up after a while. They come and they go. It's like a circle of losers that just, whoever I'm writing about recently, and then they grow out of it and then they move on. There's a couple who have been here for years who just, when I was suspended like 2 weeks ago, they were so excited about me being suspended. It's like some big victory. Like, I'm not going to be back in a week. Like, I'm not going to go on Rumble and have 7,000 viewers on there live. Like, I don't know. like they're going to silence me. Like Agent O'Donnell says here, right? Like, what do you think? I'm just going to stop talking? Like, oh no, you took away this one medium. How will I ever speak on the internet again? Oh, dear Lord. So yeah, but we're not going against bright people. They don't think logically, obviously. I mean, if you're not on our side with the Karen Reed thing, you're just not thinking logically. And we're going to get to some of that tonight. I want to touch on the obviously what happened at the Canton Selectboard Meeting tonight. I wish they weren't at 5:30 so I could actually come to some of these. Who the hell has meetings at 5:30? But anyway, have it like 7 o'clock's a good time for a town meeting. Everybody gets to eat dinner and whatever. Okay. But we're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about this douchebag, Mike Morrissey, and how shady this guy is. and the protest that we're having tomorrow in Quincy. Hope to see some of you guys there. I'll be there at 4:30 in Quincy tomorrow at the Adams Inn. We will be touching on we're going to be starting with this situation, the Court TV last night. You guys watched it? Really good stuff. We're going to touch on that. And a lot of people have just been messaging me about the Yellow Cottage Tales thing last night. I guess I'll touch on that briefly, maybe, but I don't want to waste too much time on it, really, because I've already said my piece in the comments on there, and there's really not much more for me to say about that. So anyway, so what's up, everybody? So now we got a nice little crowd coming in here. Nice to see. If it's your first time here, why don't you go ahead and smash that subscribe button for me, because we do this every Tuesday and Thursday night at 9 o'clock. We also have we do a stream on Thursdays called Turtle Club. You got to be in Turtle Club to view it. You can sign up for it right on the website. We stream it directly off of the website, tvdailynews.com itself. It's $15 a month. You get ad-free on the website, so none of those annoying ads. And you get access to the Thursday night stream that no one gets. Turtle Club has grown significantly in the last few months. I wonder why. And so that's cool. It's our way of making sure that this whole operation here is run without advertisers controlling the content. Like, that's the whole purpose of that, because when you have advertisers, then they call up the advertisers and like, why you the Lizzie Proctors of the world, they get on the phone and they say, do you know that you're supporting a man who's harassing innocent people, like Colin Albert, who's just trying to, he's trying to graduate from college and become an astronaut, and Turtleboy's ruining it for him. What do you think? How can you support that? And the advertiser's like, I have no idea what you're talking about, but I'm busy. This whole thing is a distraction, and they leave. And so it's just like, I'd rather have you guys be the customers, because if Lizzie, calls you, like, what are you going to say? You're like, oh, no, fuck off, Lizzie Proctor. And she does that a lot. So, we're going to have to get, so anyway, so hit the notification bell as well, because we do a lot of impromptu lives. Tomorrow, there will definitely be an impromptu live. For sure, there will be an impromptu live tomorrow at some point, because I got a couple things planned for tomorrow. So stay tuned to your YouTube channels tomorrow for what happens. I don't want to use up all the notifications, so I might even do one on Facebook. Follow my Facebook account, Clarence Woods Emerson. You can also follow us at Turtleboy. We just have a page called Turtleboy. It's got like over 30,000 followers now, which is cool, because we had like a page with almost 40 like a couple months ago that got taken down, and then we rebuilt a new one. It's really just that simple. So follow us there. On Instagram, we are at Turtleboy_daily news. I think we're at 20,000 on Instagram. If not, we're pretty close. Follow me on Twitter. I am at Dr. Turtleboy. That's at DOCTOR Turtleboy, because if Jill Biden's a doctor, then I'm definitely a doctor. And you can follow us on, I'm on the TikTok. I think I'm just Dr. Turtleboy on there. I don't do much, but maybe I will someday. I don't really get the TikTok, but yeah. So yeah, follow us on all those mediums and hit that subscribe button, and make sure you're every Tuesday and Saturday night at 9 p.m. so we get the good stuff. If you guys like the show and you want to donate to what we do, you can't do the super chat with us, because I had the wrong opinion about like 2 months ago about 2 years ago rather, about a certain president's vaccine mandate. I wasn't a big fan of it, and I never got it. I never got the jab. Still alive. Happy to report that I'm still alive. Didn't kill my grandmother. And so it turns out I was kind of right about that. But nonetheless, my opinion was wrong at the time. So they took away my ability to, collect your money if you want to give me money. But no biggie, because those crooks stole 40% anyway. So we just built our own platform. It's called Turtle Chat. Click at the top of this stream here. You can click out that link that says Turtle Chat. You click on that, you can donate whatever amount of money you want, and you can leave a little message. I will get the message in my email, and I'll read it out loud to the class. For instance, we already got 3 here already. We got Melissa sends $25 and says, Michael Morrissey, you are covering for dirty cops when you should be seeking justice for the victims. This needs to stop. I'll see my fellow riders tomorrow at 4:30. Let's fucking go. Absolutely, Melissa. Jackie and Aidan from the Smuggler's Resort send $5. They just want to say cheers and keep grinding, babe. Oh, thank you. And then Semolina sends $20 and says, hey, Aidan, Hope you are having a productive time preparing for back to school. What do you think about Kevin saying that Karen teams approached him to make a deal and that you have one that I don't have, there was a lot of misinformation that was spread last night. And, it's just silly. A lot of it. Like I never had heard of Alan Jackson, David Yannetti, or really Karen Reed. I remember the story, but I didn't even really remember her name. I remember the story because it was a distinct story, but I didn't, like, if you said who's Karen Reed, I'd be like, I don't fucking know. I didn't know any of these people. I found a story like a lot of you, well, not like a lot of you found it by reading Turtleboy, but I found it because people send me story ideas all the time. And I think it was like around April 15th, someone, might have been Lauren number one, somebody sent me a link to an NBC 10 report. And it was something about a Google search being deleted and the case having to get thrown out. And so I read it and I'm like, ooh, well, that's salacious. That caught my attention. That's interesting. I'm going to sit down later and read all the court documents on this. And so I waited. I was busy with some other stuff. I waited a couple of days. And then April 17th rolls around. And I remember another guy messaged me. He knows who he is. He's a former cop in Duxbury. He messaged me the whole affidavit from Alan Jackson. And I'm reading it over. He's like, you got to read this. So I'm reading it over. And it's like jaw dropping. Like every page. I don't even think I ate dinner that night. I'm like, I started reading it at like 6 p.m. And I'm like, holy shit. So I made a post on Facebook on the Clarence Woods Emerson page. It's probably still up there if you go back in the archives. And I said, look I am reading a story right now. I'm working on a story right now. And it appears as if a Boston police officer was killed by another Boston police officer and other people. And it's been covered up. And so I put that out there and it elicited crazy feedback. Like a lot of people had been following this and like, is this a story out of Canton? Is this the Karen Reed story? Blah, 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 blah. So apparently some people had heard of it. And so but nobody had actually read the court documents. So I'm reading this whole thing and I'm, you have to understand that defense attorneys like Alan Jackson, they represent their client. So they're biased. And so I go into it. When I start reading Alan Jackson's affidavit, I'm like, well, there's another side to this, right? Because it was so crazy. So crazy. And a lot of it is his theories. A lot of it is what he believes happened. Like, so the Google search happened, but when he's explaining how he thinks the night went, he's like, well, she went home. Jen McCabe went home and she went upstairs and she was pacing around because she was nervous because she realized she made a mistake. Now that's his theory. But the Google search happening is a fact. And we know it's a fact because they had a screenshot of the Celebrate data report, extraction report on it. So I'm like, this guy brings receipts. I like receipts. So I'm like, okay, there's got to be another side to this. And so I spent a long time researching the other side because, again, this is a Boston cop. I'm not just going to write not John. I mean, talk about Brian, Albert, and I'm not just going to malign some Boston cop for a woman I don't know, right? Because her lawyer says she didn't do it. So I'm not immediately going to jump into that. And so I start looking it over and I'm just like, and then I saw the autopsy pictures because they're in one of the documents. And now a lot of people have pointed out, well, you got other stuff. Are you communicating with Karen Reed? Are you getting stuff? Are you working for the defense team? No. So I don't speak to them. I have their contact information. I've spoken to them before professionally. Like I've reached out to them for comment on things on the story. A lot of the time they're pretty tight-lipped and they either don't get back to you or they give you some, real simple thing. So, I'm not getting anything from these people. So where am I getting information from? Well, 95% of it, anyone can get it. You just go and read the court docs on masscourts.org. But other stuff, like, for instance, I'm trying to write the story and I'm reading about this Colin Albert person and I don't have a picture of Colin Albert. And I'm like what are they referencing here? And a lot of the stuff in there, they said, well, there's pictures on Courtney Proctor's Facebook page. And I'm reading this affidavit and I'm like, well, this is old. They've had a week to take this stuff down. I'm assuming it's not there anymore. So I go to Courtney Elberg's Facebook page and boom, it's all there. They were that cocky. They, like, even after being named in court filings for, you know, being part of this, she doesn't take down the incriminating evidence. They did after I wrote the blog, but they kept it all up at the time. So that shows how arrogant and cocky these people were, you know, prior to my involvement. And they still are very arrogant and cocky to this day. I mean, you saw what happened with Chris Albert today. Like, Chris Albert goes to, like, the Canton Board of Selectmen's meetings have turned into one gigantic roast of Chris Albert. Like, it's just a nonstop roast. They just, the housewives of Canton just get up there and roast this man and just destroy his soul. And he sits there awkwardly and just takes it. There's no way he's having fun. Like, what? Like, and that just shows how arrogant these people are. Like, it's like, what are you can't like this job that much. You don't get paid anything. What do you do? Like, oh, it's just, they're just not giving in. Like, that's all it comes down to. They're not, they want to make it appear normal. So long story short, how did I get a lot of this information? Well, most of it's from the public, but, you know, I had a woman by the name of Jen Altman. She's a turtle rider, reach out to me. And she said, look, I have thought this story was bogus for about a year now. And I started making some comments last year about it. And one of Karen's friends reached out to me and said, thank you for, you know, Karen's innocent. Thank you for whatever. And so Jen's like, well, I have this source, Karen's friend, who she can help you out. She can give you information. So I used this person and I said, I mean, I did all the talking. I'm like, do you have a picture of Colin Albert? Yeah. Do you have a picture of Brian Higgins? Do you have this? Do you have that? And she had it all. So that's my source, is Karen Reed's friends are allowed to talk to me. And that's what journalists do. They talk to sources. Okay. Like, Karen Reed's allowed to have friends and they're allowed to talk to me. Okay. That doesn't mean I'm communicating with her or her lawyers. But I'm talking, like, that's what a journalist is going to get as close to the source as possible. I tried friend requesting Karen Reed and it came back rejected because she's not stupid, clearly. And she's like, nope, I'm not having, because it comes up on like the 9 most recent friends on your page. So she'd be like the first one there. People are like, what the fuck? So she wisely rejected my friend request. So, you know, and I've asked her friend, I'm like, can I, like, I've asked, obviously asked, can I talk to Karen Reed? Can I talk to her? And the answer is no. So what am I going to do? You know what I mean? So there's that. Anyway. So yeah, I don't know how I got into that tangent, but yeah, he went on, you know, it was sad because I've really, you know, I like the guy. He doesn't seem like a bad guy at all. So it didn't appreciate those made up nonsense about me, but you all know it's untrue. And I just want to be very clear that not like 99% of you, maybe 100%, maybe there's like a small, like 0.1% of people that will just believe anything I say. I don't know. Maybe there is. But from my understanding of you people, it's like you question shit. And if I fed you a bunch of bullshit that I couldn't back up, you wouldn't be content with that, because you're, from my dealings with you, it seems to be an audience of people who like to ask questions and who don't just like being blindly told something and they have to go along with that narrative. So, and I thought that was the most insulting part, was when you guys were called a mindless mob. I thought that was uncalled for, because you're not a mindless mob. You're actually wicked smart, and I like you guys. So anyway, so yeah, Zuzap calls me, you know, and a lot of you, especially when it comes to politics, you guys are always getting my back. I mean, I like the guy that like 10% of the people like. I'm like the guy that like my own party doesn't like. They're calling, you know, meatball, whatever. Anyway, so that's that. So what I want to start. So anyway, yeah, my Cash App, by the way, is $ Uncle Turtleboy. You can also give that way. I got a couple Cash Apps already here. Let me read them out loud to the class. Give me one moment. Okay. All right. Scott sends $7 and he says, for lucky 7, the plow driver, give him hell. Thank you very much, Scott. Deanna sends $10 and she says 4 heart emoji. Thank you very much. Jane sends $10, says, I can't wait for the billboard to go up. That's going to be wild. I can't wait for that either. And Wilson sends $40 earlier today, says, for Tom Walsh is a shit go-kart driver. Okay. And then also earlier today, Jay Norris sent $10 and says that Yellowtail's asshole is talking real greasy about you. Okay. So there's that. And again, you can cash out $sign Uncle Turtleboy. We got 2 more donos here. Tom sends $5 on the Turtle chat and says, I don't care what Kevin says. Keep it up. It was a glorious meltdown. I appreciate that. Barry says $50, says it pisses me off. My Canton tax dollars are funding this injustice. Thank you, doctor, for keeping this crazy BS illuminated. If Karen is not acquitted, I'm moving out of this corrupt town. Karen's not going to jail. Karen's going to be acquitted at the worst. At the worst. That's worst case scenario. Karen Reed gets acquitted. But hopefully, I mean, come on. We know the feds are watching this case, and I just can't imagine a situation in which they can ethically watch a trial take place knowing what they know. Like they're not stupid. They know what they're investigating here. They know that John O'Keefe was murdered inside the house behind me. They know that because all the evidence clearly like you have to be a very stupid person not to see that. And there's no, and you know, part of what set this whole thing off yesterday is I made a comment in the comment section on Yellow Cottage Tales, and I said, I go, and you're both sides in it, okay? And both sides in it is, you know, when you attempt to make, when there's probably an actual definition of both sides in it. Let me see, both sides, probably a definition. All right, both sidesing refers to the media or public figures giving credence to the other side of a cause, action, or idea to seem fair for only the sake of argument when the credibility of that side may be unmerited. That's a perfect example. Let me read that definition again. Both sidesing refers to the media or public figures giving credence to the other side of a cause, action, or idea to seem fair or only for the sake of argument when the credibility of that side may be unmerited. And that's what I mean by this. It's like, okay, I believe in hearing both sides. I totally do. There's no other side. Like the other side is unmerited. And I'm not doing this because I don't know fucking Karen Reed, you know? Like we're not, like I've never heard of her before this. So obviously I don't go into this with any sort of, you know, implicit bias or anything like that. If anything, my bias would be towards the other side. Because this is a blog that has historically supported the police. And Brian Albert's a police officer. And so my inclination would be to believe, you know what I mean? My bias would be to believe the police officer. And my bias would be to believe these people who are fans of mine. Like Jill Daniels, Chris Albert, Julie Albert. These were fans of mine. And John O'Keefe read Turtleboy. Like they all read Turtleboy. So, and I've written about their town prior to this, like issues. Like there was an incident like 2 years ago, a little girl on a school bus. I don't know if you guys remember that story again. It was like Canton Middle School. I ripped like the middle school principal apart, I think, because some girl got bullied on the bus for like saying something conservative in class. I forget what it was, but she got like bullied on the bus and it was taped and all this stuff. It was crazy. And I'm sure that like that's my crowd. So I don't have a bias towards Karen Reed. I have a bias towards the truth. I'm completely biased towards the truth. And the fact of the matter is that all of the facts stack up on the other side. They're all on the other side. I've said it from the beginning. If anyone has something that can change my mind, a piece of evidence, like showing that Karen Reed's guilty, by all means, bring it forward. And that's one thing that he said last night that's probably what I took most offense to, is he said that, I don't think you're going to, if I showed you something, if I showed Aidan something that made Karen Reed look guilty, he wouldn't use it. And I think what that's coming from, right, is at the beginning of the show, our guy, a big fan favorite, Sean of the Gulf, went on there looking dapper, by the way, looking quite dapper. He got dressed up for that show, but on mine, he's using his web camera. I mean, he's using his computer camera. I feel slighted a little bit, but anyway, I'm just kidding, Sean. But he's a real good source of information when it comes to like police stuff, former DEA guy. And he went on the show and he started talking about how, you know, Karen Reed did not have a restraining order out against her. And I'm like, what? And he's like, no, I did some research on this, and there was no charges against Karen or and again, he's like, and I'm like, who said there was? Who said there was? And I don't know. Like, I've seen some, you know, user 5842 whatever on Twitter, Mr. Anonymous Twitter egg is like, Karen Reed is, you know, I have proof that Karen Reed was an abusive person to her last boyfriend. Okay, then bring it forward. I'd love to share it. I want to show both sides of it. But there's no other side. And Sean, you know, researched it, and he's like, there's nothing there. But it's like, with me, it's just like, I would, like, if you don't have any evidence, I'm going to waste my time researching it. And it's like, you're just giving credence to nonsense, just absolute nonsense. So again, if anybody has, if the other side wants to send me, and by the way, if the other side had anything and they wanted to prove he'll only show stuff that's pro Karen Reed, well, if they were smart, they would send me something that shows Karen doing something bad, right? And then if I didn't show it, if I didn't show all you guys that evidence, that would prove their point, wouldn't it? It would prove their point that I'm hiding shit. So they win no matter what. If they send it to me and I share it, then they get the word out. Karen Reed's actually a bad person. If they send it to me and I don't share it, they also win because they're like, see, we sent it to him and he chose to cover it up. Turtleboy's a fraud. But instead, they send nothing because they have nothing. And so this is a both sidesism. Like, eventually you have to realize that only one side is right here and only one side has evidence. And you're all not stupid. You're not here because I've fooled you. You're here because you have common freaking sense. You have common sense. And the people who are leading the charge against it don't. So anyway, I talked to okay. So you know, and whatever. We'll come back to that stuff later. What I want to start with today is the court TV thing. Did you guys know there was a lot going on last night? I was on the Young Jurks at 9:00. A lot of people enjoyed that. Kevin did his stream from like 8 to 10. And so a lot of people missed court TV. And on court TV last night, there was a really interesting panel on there. And it was on court TV again tonight. And this story is really starting to pick up the more and more. And that's what we're going to, like, after the Morrissey thing was the best gift that ever happened to us, our side. Like, because it got everyone, it was so outrageous and stupid that it got everyone's attention. And it's going to draw more. And when people start talking about this case, and he was responding to me, like his whole thing was about me. And so now I become a bigger part of the story. And these people are so stupid. Oh my God, they're so stupid. Anyway, so let's watch clips of last night's Vinnie Politan. And they didn't have, luckily, what's her name on? Wendy. So
great to have you with us tonight. Right off the start this hour, we got a big story we've been covering up in Massachusetts. It involves a police officer. Here he is. John O'Keefe is his name. And he was 46 years old when he died. 16-year veteran of the Boston PD. Was taking care of his niece and nephew after the sudden death of his sister and brother-in-law. Just an overall very good guy. He was really a good guy and loved. Take a look at this house. This is a house where he was found dead. He wasn't found dead in the house, but outside the house on the lawn. And the weather was nothing like you're looking at here. It was a snowy night. January 29th, 2022. That house belongs to a fellow officer, Brian Albert. And he was out drinking all night, John O'Keefe, and then was supposed to go to that house for an after party. And the allegations are that he never made it in the house by investigators, because they say his girlfriend, Karen Reed, take a look at her. They say that she was dropping him off at that house. They were out drinking together, going, bar hopping. And she was dropping him off at that after party. She didn't want to go in. And prosecutors allege that they got into a fight. The house where he was supposed to go in is the house of a.
So they talk about.
And the defense is saying, no, that's.
They talk about the scratches.
He was murdered. Online.
Oh, how about this? This is the good part.
Oh, that's
here we go.
Dog. And there was a dog in that house where they say he was murdered. A lot going on. A lot of controversy surrounding this case as well. And there are a bunch of people led by a local online personality named Turtleboy.
Award-winning journalist.
Takes a look at true crime cases. And a lot of people follow him, and people in the neighborhood all of a sudden are saying, hey, wait a minute. She's being wrongfully accused and wrongfully prosecuted in this case. And they have shown up at the courthouse in pretty large numbers, making a lot of noise. Take a look.
Oh my gosh.
Wait, what happened? Wait, hold on. Oh.
We're right here today, Jim McDermott, and we're not going to be quiet. We got it.
A lot of controversy, a lot of emotion attached to all this. Obviously, John O'Keefe is dead. His family believes he's murdered. Some of the fellow officers obviously also believe he's been murdered. And then you've got the defendant saying no, the defense team saying no, and now this groundswell of support in the community for the accused murderer.
Exactly.
Very unusual. Now, on top of it, it's not just happening at the courthouse, but it's also happening online. And this isn't happening in a vacuum. Like, all of this is now bubbling over, and the DA who was prosecuting this case, furious at the way
here we go.
Who he calls witnesses are being treated.
So here we go.
And he posted a video online voicing his anger with what is going on and explaining a little bit about his case and the evidence. Let's take a look.
All right. So anyway, we're not going to play this idiot again. So we've already seen this a bunch of times. So this moron gives his whole speech. And keep in mind, like, this is, if you're not from Massachusetts or you're not from this New England area, you probably look at this guy and you're like, what a maroon, like, culture shock. This guy has like the thickest accent. He looks slovenly and disgusting. And as one of the panelists later pointed out, I didn't even notice this, and now I can't stop looking at it. One of his eyebrows is like 3 inches above the other one at all times. What even is that? Like, look at, why is this eyebrow so much higher than that one? I can't unsee that. And so he talks, it's like, it just looks slovenly, doesn't he? And this whole thing is bizarre. Like, we are outraged by it, but the rest of the country just sees this as like, wait a minute, this guy's the district attorney telling people to stop protesting. And all he did, this is the Streisand effect. All he did by mentioning the name Colin Albert is get people to search for, okay, well, what's Colin Albert? And then what do you think's going to come up? What do you think's going to come up? So anyway, like, did he just get Botox on half the face? Oh, okay. So anyway, he plays the video and then he's going to talk about it afterwards.
What is happening to these innocent people, these witnesses, is wrong and it needs to stop.
Can we just ask you one thing? What happened to these witnesses is wrong and it needs to stop. What does that mean? Look at Morrissey. Either it's illegal or it's not illegal. If it's illegal, if we're breaking some kind of crime, by all means, arrest me. Arrest me. Or urge Jen McCabe and anyone else who feels aggrieved to go down to Stoughton District Courthouse and apply for a harassment prevention order against me. There are legal mechanisms in place that can help you out if you feel like you're being harassed by me or you're having your rights violated or something like that, or you've been a victim of a crime that I've committed. Like nothing's stopping you from doing any of those things. And Jen McCabe tried that. It didn't go well for her. So this whole matter has already been adjudicated in Stoughton District Court. A judge determined that what I'm doing and what we're all doing is not harassment. And more than anything, right? Framing an innocent woman, as James Lynch says here, is also legal. It's actually a much bigger deal than anything I've done. And so your tears are delicious if you're complaining about this. Oh no, the McCabes, no, you're not going to turn the narrative into that. These people did something heinous. It's not maybe they did something. It's clearly they did something. And there isn't a single person out there anywhere that if somebody's like, look I kidnapped your kid, right? This is a little morbid, but I kidnapped your kid and we're going to kill him. We're going to throw him off a bridge. If you get this question wrong, you're never going to see your kid again. Here's the question for you. Did Karen Reed kill John O'Keefe? Yes or no? If your kid's life was at stake, if you gave the wrong answer to that question, there isn't a single person out there. Alberts, McCabe's, no one, not one person. Paul O'Keefe, Peggy O'Keefe. They would all say no. Every single one of them, if they actually had something on the line on that question, they know, because they all know in their heart of hearts, Karen Reed didn't do this. And if Karen Reed didn't do this, then someone did, because John's dead. So someone killed him, and it had to be someone in that house. And quite frankly, I don't even give a shit. It's not my job to figure out who killed him. Not my job. That's the police's job. What we're concerned with here is whether or not Karen Reed should be on trial. And the answer to that is clearly no, because not only is she not guilty, not only is she innocent, she is factually innocent. She's factually innocent. The facts point to that. So let's see how Vinnie Politan reacts to this.
He's not happy. He is not happy at all. And this is going to happen throughout this case. There's going to be a back and forth. This is a very aggressive defense team, plus the folks who are showing up at the courthouse. And it's unusual. It's unusual in a case like this. So we'll focus on that part of the case at another night. But I want to focus on one thing that he said that I think may be the key to this entire trial and trying to figure out the truth. Whether John O'Keefe, the police officer, never made it inside that house and was struck immediately by his girlfriend and left on the ground as the snow fell that night and died. His cell phone was found, we understand, beneath his body. So the cell phone data, crucial, and the DA spoke about it. Take one more listen to what he said about the cell phone data, because personally I think it may be the most important piece of evidence in the case.
Location data from his phone, recovered from the lawn beneath his body when he was transported to the hospital, shows that this phone did not enter that home.
Bullshit.
Okay.
Just a lie.
I get it. But I also spoke with the defense team about the same phone. Take a listen to what the defense says about the data they have related to the phone.
Keep it quilted.
Oh, come on.
Keep it the best. 3 layers of plush comfort you can see and...
Alan and I have been fighting tooth and nail to get all of the cell phone data that we can. And guess who has fought us back to prevent us from getting that information? It's been the prosecution. The Apple health data that Alan referenced earlier shows that he did walk, I think, approximately 80 steps and went up and down approximately 3 flights of stairs. You don't do that by getting out of a vehicle and being struck by the vehicle. And I think Alan had said at one point, you know, what did he do? Did he do laps around the car and start jumping up and down and then got hit? It's fanciful.
Doesn't make any
it's
sense.
Ridiculous.
Fanciful.
We know he went in that house.
I need to start using that word.
It's just the tip of the iceberg.
If he goes in the house, she's not guilty.
Right.
Period.
Agreed.
Period.
Yep. Done.
But you've got two sides saying completely opposite things. I need some help. Let's bring in an expert to help sort it all
so
out.
this is wait till you see
from Arlington, Virginia.
I don't know where they found this guy, the expert, but wait till you hear what this guy's got to say. Did you guys hear this guy? The expert who can't figure out how to like get his mic to work. Just listen, watch this.
A true pioneer in the field of mobile forensics, director of digital forensics for Hive International. Sam Brothers is with us tonight. Sam, thank you so much. Great to have you. I need help here. I've got a prosecutor saying the location data of the cell phone says he never entered the home. And I've got the defense saying that the Apple Health information shows him taking 80 steps, going up and down some stairs. Okay, can they both be true?
Yes, actually they can, Vinny, and it's a really good question. So
how can they both be true?
It's really interesting that none of that GPS data shows that he's been in the house, and I think that is really of critical importance here. The information that the defense is talking about, this 80 steps and the 3 flights of going up and down, that health data is actually written out to the data set every about 60 seconds. So that information could be up to 60 seconds old. So, and even that information could be affected by weather, which we both know was pretty bad at the time. So the 100% accuracy of that information, I couldn't rely on 100% anyway. So maybe off slightly. And also, again, like I said before, that information could have been held for a little bit. So there could be some delay in that information getting written to the phone itself. Does that make sense?
It does. So now we know what they were doing before, right? So the prosecution theory is they're in a car coming back from the bar. So that's going to take.
So it's like, so it's a minute. It could be up to a minute off. Okay. So he was still in the house then. How do you explain him going up and downstairs? And the weather could affect it. So Apple Health just doesn't work when it's snowing. That's what you're saying? Okay.
More than a minute. So they'd just be sitting in the car.
Yeah, and going over things like speed bumps and things like that could trigger things like steps and things like.
He actually just said that. I mean, that was the wildest shit I've ever heard. Going over speed bumps can make it seem like you're climbing stairs. He had 80 steps, 8 speed bumps. He actually said that the ascending and descending stairs can be caused by speed bumps. First of all, I don't believe that for a second. Secondly, if that was true, then that would mean that Apple Health data is just 100% completely useless if it mistakes a speed bump for stairs. It would be useless. Like we wouldn't even talk about Apple Health data. We'd be like, Apple Health data is a fucking joke. Nobody can take Apple Health data seriously. It's freaking Apple. They're a multi-billion-dollar corporation, and they can't make a device that can differentiate between stairs and a speed bump. Okay. Yeah. Lots of people are going to keep saying that, and lots of people will believe you. Sure. I mean, we're really doing a speed bump. That's the best that you people could come up with is the goddamn speed bump. Okay. But he goes on. He's got more to say about this.
It's like barometric pressure.
Oh, barometric pressure.
Even going up a hill may also affect or trigger the iPhone to thinking that it's going uphill or even down.
Up, if you go uphill. First of all, I challenge anyone to test that out. Okay. I challenge anyone to see if you go up a hill, will your Apple iPhone say that you're going upstairs? No, you won't. Because again, the device would be completely useless if it actually did that. But more importantly, I've driven Cedar Crest and Fairview several times now, and Dedham Street several times now. All of those streets are completely flat. There are no speed bumps. There's several stop signs on Cedar Crest. They're very annoying. If I would avoid that street at all costs if I lived in Canton. You have to stop every freaking 5 seconds. Like, can you make can you make one of the streets the dominant street and just like the other two have stop signs? I don't know. Maybe the Board of Selectmen should look into that. They're a little busy right now, getting roasted every Tuesday at 5:30. But I've been on. There's no speed bumps. Speed bumps? Like, this guy's making up excuses for this shit. Like, what? Okay, so basically what he's saying here is that Apple data is just useless, friggin' useless. But he goes on.
Downhill, so that could also likely show that, or make it think that he's going up or down steps as well. So that, again, scientifically could lead one to believe that he might be going up or down steps and would be a logical explanation for what's going on here.
And can driving in a car replicate taking steps?
It absolutely could. This up and down jarring motion could certainly do that, replicate that kind of information.
Is that true? Like that, again, I don't believe that for a second. And if it was true, it would mean the Apple health data is completely useless. If it doesn't know the difference between you sitting in a car and you walking, like, can you imagine that? Imagine getting I have a friggin' thing. Actually, I do have the Apple health data. It's always telling me to get my steps in. Always. And I do exercise, but like, I usually don't take my phone with me. So it's always yelling at me but I drive. I bring it with me when I drive. It never gives me credit. I could cheat so easily. I could fool the phone. It never tells me to exercise. Insane that this guy's saying it. But wait till you see the lawyer's response.
Device on occasion. There are several factors that go into creating the data that goes into that health database, and it is certainly plausible in this case. And since we know he was in a car traveling just before he got there, it certainly sounds like that in this case. Does that make sense?
Yes. And one final question. What do you suppose the Apple Health would say if he is struck by a car?
I would expect that GPS data to stop suddenly. And I also would expect that if he's wearing some kind of a watch monitor, I would expect that heart monitor to stop as well.
Okay, so you expect it. So this is how you know he's full of shit, this guy. That gave it away right there. That everything he said gave it away. But if you get hit, your Apple Health data will stop working, he said, right? Well, what happened to John? Or maybe this is good for the defense, what he just said. What happened to John's phone after 6 o'clock? It starts moving. The Apple Health data records movement on his phone. So is this guy saying that the car couldn't have hit her because it would shut down, right? I mean, that's what he just said. The Apple Health data will no longer work if you get hit by a car. No, this guy is just full of shit. I swear to God. Some of these people just want to be on TV. I'm not a medical examiner, but I know what dog bites look like. I'm not a forensic expert, but I know that when you're in the car, it doesn't count as steps. Okay. And I know that speed bumps don't count as ascending and descending stairs. So there's that.
And I would expect that his GPS data would stop. I would expect all of that to be consistent.
Sam Brothers, I'm sure we're going to be calling on you again and again and again.
No,
We appreciate your time tonight. I know how valuable it is.
Thank you very much. Appreciate your time.
Yeah, basically.
All right, let's bring in our think tank. Joining us tonight in Englewood Cliffs, New Jersey, criminal defense attorney, former prosecutor.
Oh, this guy's
Albert
great.
Munch III.
This guy's
also
great.
joining us in Stamford, Connecticut.
This
criminal
guy's good
defense attorney
too.
Darnell
They're
Crossman.
all-
And in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, family law attorney Jennifer Brandt. Great to see everyone tonight. Okay, I'm trying to figure out, if they can prove that he went in the house, the defense, I believe it's game over here. What do you make of all this, Al? Our expert says, wait a minute, these two findings could be consistent. You know, maybe the car could replicate some of this Apple Health stuff. What do you think, Al?
I think the jury's got to have a headache with this one, trying to figure this out, because this is a very, very key, crucial issue. And if they can't tell me whether or not it was because he was going up and down on the street for 60 seconds before he got hit by the vehicle, or because he was actually in the house, I mean, that is crucial to this case. And it may bring that reasonable doubt up for a jury as to whether or not this is exactly what the prosecution is saying.
So I thought this was a good point, and another lawyer makes this point too. It's like, I think all of this, if they bring on some expert who's like, this is untrue, and then Rick Green's like, this is true, that's a win for Karen Reed's side. That's a win for the defense, because it's reasonable doubt, right? It's like, well, I don't know. This nerd's telling me this nerd's telling me that. You know, it's the prosecution's job to overwhelm you with evidence to get rid of any reasonable doubt that you have. And they're not doing that. It's like, they can't do that. So how the fuck are they going to, like, where is the, anyway, let's play some more.
Happened. I also don't think it was a brilliant move for the prosecutor or the district attorney in this case to get up there and make that public service announcement. I thought that was ridiculous.
Yes.
Well,
I mean, that's not
let me
what
tell
he's
you, things are
supposed to
getting
be doing.
intense. Things are getting super intense up there.
I understand that, but you know what? He's supposed to be above that. And for him to get on there and give this thing and just like, I want it to stop now, like that's going to make it stop. It's going to make it worse. I mean, you know,
Well, that's true.
Substitute teachers.
That's true.
Every time, you know, a substitute teacher tells me this is going to stop now, it got worse in my class. And that's what's going to happen in this situation.
That is the perfect analogy. The substitute teacher who tells you, stop doing that. And it's just like, oh, I guess I'll do more of that. Like, what? It's just common sense. This guy's like watching this, like, is this for real? Is this a joke? This guy's the district attorney, and he's like, you guys need to stop. Stop what? You know, are we breaking the law? No. Then what are you telling me to stop for? What are you telling me to stop? What right do you have to tell me to stop? That we're all just gonna be like, oh, you know what? Guys, I was really passionate about this Karen Reed thing, but then I got lectured by this walking can of diabetes named Michael Morrissey. And, you know, he really shamed me. He put me in my place. I was feeling really good about this, but then Mike Morrissey told me to stop. So I just felt shameful after that. And I stopped. I had to stop because he wanted me to stop. Like, is that how he envisioned this going? Oh my God. It's embarrassing.
Arnell, what do you think tonight?
I wish I was there. But anyway, so I do know that this prosecutor was really upset. The reason why I know that is because his right eyebrow, this one, was always 4 inches higher than the left. And as it relates to his press conference, he says we should not try a case in the media right before he gave all this evidence in the media. So I didn't understand that either.
I said that too.
This is what I want everybody to realize. If one could argue that going up steps was indicated by the Apple device, the prosecution is going to have a hard time saying, yes, that could be that, but it also could be a speed bump or it could be going up steps. It's almost like Philip Morris arguing about what can cause cancer. It could be peanut butter. It could be all. Once you're arguing that in the negative, you're losing. So if they're coming out the gate already saying that it could be this, but also could be any of these other things, they're losing. So like you said, it's game over if he's in the house.
I really enjoyed that guy's take on it. It was refreshing to hear that, because like you're losing. These are experienced attorneys. And it's like, if you're the prosecution and you're going into this and that's your plan, is we don't know what caused. I don't know why it says ascending stairs. It could be ascending stairs or it could be this. You're losing. You're playing from behind. If you had something that said, no. It's not ascending. Like, you have to be able to disprove, and they can't do it. They've already lost. You can say whatever bullshit you want. No. He wasn't there. Waze said something else. People like a jury's going to hear that. Like, what? I don't fucking believe that. Like, the jury's not going to believe you. They're going to hear all this shit. And it was really I really enjoyed listening to these guys because it's just a reminder of how these guys are unbiased. They don't follow this shit. And they're just looking at this and like, nobody's going to believe that. Okay. And then this woman talks.
But it sounds like it's going to be definitely a hung jury or not guilty if they're going to be arguing about speed bumps and hills.
All right, Jennifer Brandt, do you want to talk about the phone evidence? Or you want to talk about the DA's eyebrow?
I think I'd rather focus on the DA's eyebrow, Vinny, because it was definitely up. But I agree with Darnell. I mean, talking about this case and bringing up all this evidence is exactly what he's telling people not to do. And, you know, he's basically enticing people to come in and make a bigger issue of all of this.
Yes.
And by the way, where does this guy, the turtle guy, and all of these people, where do they have the time to get involved in this case and be so passionate about it? That, to me, is really incredible that you have.
I loved her comment, and don't take that as an insulting way. Like, where does he find the time? She's curious about this. That, to me, is like, she's never heard of Turtleboy before, and she's curious. Like, and that's why it's great that we're out on the steps. Like, and like, you heard it right there. Her response is why we're out there doing this, because it gets people's attention, right? If people see this and they're like, wow, these people really just, this is what they're doing in their spare time. They're going, well, it's spare time for you guys. It's work for me, but this is what they're doing. They're giving up their day to go down there and participate in something. They must really believe in this. This is not, you know, you guys are not just part of a mob, a mindless mob. You actually believe this stuff because it's overwhelming and you're passionate about it. And they see people chant free, can't read. And it's just the visual of her walking up those stairs to that courthouse. And, you know, me with my friggin' bullhorn at the top. And people getting booed when they walk in. It's just like that catches people's attention. And now they're interested in the story. And when the documentary comes out, I mean, this is what it's large, you know, the plan is to center it around this. It's around like how we acted as the catalyst for this movement. And it's interesting. It's intriguing. It gets people's attention. And certainly, you know, I'm doing this because I believe in it. I believe in every ounce of Karen Reed's freedom. I'm fully invested in her freedom. It means something to me because I'm a father, right? And I'm not a piece of shit. And I can't watch this happen. And she needs to be free. And free doesn't mean out on bail. Free means to me free means that to no longer have the cloud hanging over your head that they can take away your freedom whenever they want. That disappears the second she's either acquitted or the charges are dropped. And we're not going to stop until that happens. And like I said, public attention should change the behavior of the judge. I think it did. It certainly changed the behavior of Michael Morrissey. We made him do this. This bullshit, this gift was a response to us. And that's why I'll be there tomorrow, because now I know it triggers him. And now, okay, you want some more? Daddy's got some more for you. Let's go. Let's go.
Have all these people in the community supporting the defendant here. And, you know, why? They really are following this, looking closely at it.
Oh, I had Turtleboy on the show, and he said because he believes that this is someone being wrongfully convicted. He's usually on the side of police.
Yes, thank you,
Get
Vinny.
all these people together. I mean,
Thank
this
you,
is going to
Vinny.
be some trial.
Yeah.
Vinny. This is going to be something to watch for sure.
By the way, Al, I'll give you a little piece of history on that courthouse. That's where Sacco and Vanzetti were wrongfully
Oh, this guy
convicted up in
loves
Dedham.
pointing
I know
this
you
out.
knew that.
I do.
He loves. He cannot go a segment without pointing that out. But anyway, it was great, and it shows like my me going, like he was happy to tell them like I had Turtleboy on, so that's cool. And I'll be back on again for sure. I talked to the Court TV producer yesterday. We're gonna make it happen. Hopefully we get, I'd love to go. I really want to go back on Surviving the Survivor, but I don't beg to go on shows. If he wants to have me on, I'd be happy to go on and talk to him about this. I understand that I think he's talking about the serial killer or something like that. I don't know, but I'd be happy to go on and talk about this because to me, this is the biggest story in the country. Like this is bigger than, the Kohberger case is obviously the one that a lot of people talk about, but that doesn't compare to this. Obviously, 4 people were killed in that, young people too. And that story is just disturbing and crazy and a psycho, whatever, but there's no mystery to that, right? Like I haven't followed that religiously, but we all agree that guy did that, right? Like Brian Kohberger. I've had some people message me and be like, you need to stand up for Brian Kohberger. It's like, whoa. At ease, pussycat. Like I don't believe everyone's not guilty. Like I remember reading the facts of that case and being like, oh, they got this motherfucker to a T. They got everything there. Again, I haven't followed it. You guys think he's innocent? Come on. Is he? I haven't followed it. Take a vote in the comments right now. Not guilty? People really believe that? All right, let's take a vote in the comments right now. I'm going to do a poll. Okay. Because I haven't followed this. I'll let you guys do it. And is Kohberger guilty or not? Okay. I don't even know if I spelled it right. I'm going to put yes, no clue. Don't follow. I'm going to put don't follow as an option. I could just put that in the chat. I'm going to see what people, because I remember following the initial indictment when it happened. So we've already got 200 votes and 69%. Oh, 7% say no. Okay. So that's like a really, really small minority believe that he's not guilty. Let me do another poll. 300. Okay. So looks like 30% of you don't follow. 2/3 of you say yes. Okay. So I'm going to end that one and then let's do another one. How about this? I voted in that one. Vote in the one I just put up. Karen Reed, guilty or not guilty? All right. We got 142 votes in, 300 and something votes in, 95%. So yeah, I mean, that just shows you right there and take that for all you people out there that want to run their mouths about this. That Turtleboy, oh, you're a bunch of mindless idiots that, you automatically believe all these people are not. It's like, no, we're not conspiracy theorists. Like I've followed the Kohberger case. He seems guilty, like based on all the evidence I've seen. It's a reach. With Karen Reed, it's just, we are not the type that fall for this shit, that just blindly believe things. So we're just like overwhelmed with so much evidence of her guilt that it's just wild. It's just wild. What good example? Which example are we talking about? But so you had to not. Oh, so one of the votes for guilty was. So I see Jen McCabe's watching because we are at 5%. So Jen's here, Carl's here. Okay, Lizzie Proctor's here, and Lizzie Proctor's had a busy day too. I don't want to say too much about Lizzie Proctor. give too much away, but I know what Lizzie's been up to. I know what she's been up to. Lizzie watches, and the enemies that are obsessed with me and follow this case watch everything. They watch me. They watch Yellow Cottage Tales. And whenever they see somebody that they think might be a potential ally, they will contact them. It is a guarantee they will do that because they are so desperate for anyone to take up their cause. Because look at the poll. Everyone thinks Karen Reed is not guilty because the facts belie that. So there's that. All right. So let's, by the way, if anyone has the Canton Selectboard videos they want to send in, I don't have it. I would especially like to see the part where they ask Chris to explain what the acronym is that he's involved in. That one I would love to see. So if you have any videos, feel free to send them in. So to Clarence Woods Emerson on Facebook. But in the meantime, let me read some turtle chats here, shall we? Okay. First one up. And again, if anyone else would like to donate, click at the link at the top of the comments section that's pinned there. Donate whatever you want. You get to write a message, and I will read your message out loud to the class. Okay. First one is Harmit. Sends $10 and says, my friends and family support Dr. Turtleboy and Karen Reed. Canada loves you. I love Canada, especially like not Quebec and Ontario. Okay. Next, we have DW sends $25 and says, in honor of Mike Gianetti, who tonight encouraged Turtle Riders to dig deep into their pockets in order to support independent journalism. Mikey, we salute you. That was so nice of Mike Gianetti to say that. That's so thoughtful of him. Thank you, Mike Gianetti. Thank you. I'm going to take good care of my, the son that I adopted from you, soon to be daughter. And I appreciate that, sir. Okay. Lauren sends $25, says, in honor of Mike Gianetti, just because he said, oh my God, don't give him any money. Oh my God. Oh, it's like the troll homeo effect. People are giving money out of spite now. Cool. Turtle Rider sends $5, says, hey, Kevin, guess what? Shut the fuck up. All right. Next up is Lars sends $10, says there must be 81 speed bumps between the Waterfall Bar and Great and Grill and 34 Fairview. I know they had a speeding problem in Canton, but that seems excessive. Yes, it does. Yes, it does. Steve sends $25, says Bridgewater State football 2023 roster out today. Brandon Albert is on it. No Colin Albert. That's right. So it's official. And by the way, Krusty Panties is one of them. Krusty Panties, I guess, contacted, I hate even bringing her up, but she contacted Kevin today. And one thing she told, I guess she's saying that Colin's suicidal, something like that. It's complete bullshit. He's not suicidal. Okay. Don't kill yourself, Colin. Turn yourself in. Do the right thing. That's what I recommend. You got to be a man. If you did something bad to John O'Keefe, then the manliest thing you can do is step up to the plate and admit what you did and take your punishment. Okay. And beg I don't want to say O'Keefe family for forgiveness because I don't think they give a shit. But I would beg Karen Reed for forgiveness. Beg her. She's not going to accept it, but you should still do it anyway. But okay. All right. So next up in the turtle chats. Oh, so is that it for the turtle chat? Okay, we got one more here from Annette sends $25, says we were fed the prosecutor's narrative for over a year. That's a really good point, and they ran with it. Now we find out Karen's side, and we can't run with that narrative? We already looked at their narrative for over a year. There's no more to look at on the other side. Like Yannetti said, how dare you? That's such a great point. Is like, they're like, let's look at both sides. How come you're not listening to the other side? I'm like, the other side is the only side that existed for over a year, and the story sounded sketchy from the beginning. I assumed when I first read this story that there was like a foot of snow on the ground already when they dropped him off, and he fucking slipped or some shit and like hit his head. And I thought I was in the driveway. I assumed it was the driveway, And I assumed like he fell over or something, and she crushed his back or something. I had no fucking clue what the details of this case were. None. It sounded horrific, but I'd never actually thought about like, wait a minute, how did this go down? And I'm sure a lot of you were the same way. Do you guys even remember when the story came out? Do you remember what your thoughts on it were? Like, good for Jen Altman. She's the one that was just like calling it bullshit from the beginning. When I first heard the story, I'm like, no, that's really sad. I assumed it was true because why the fuck wouldn't it be true? Why you're telling me this giant, situation, this giant conspiracy took place, but apparently it did. Rumble donos too. Yeah. I appreciate the Rumble rants, but they're hard to keep up with. So I'm going to read some Rumble rants here. MH723 says, sends $20 says, what's worse, covering up a murder or doing investigative journalism, which happens to bring you to a lacrosse game? Exactly. Give me a break, Yellow Cottage Tail. Dramatic rant. Hashtag free Karen Reed. I appreciate that. And like I said, I talked to Kevin today for like an hour. It was too long, quite frankly. He wasn't getting it. But I said, look at, like when I went to the lacrosse game there, it wasn't for readings or views. It was because I was curious. Like, I'm a reporter. How can every time it's fascinating that Jennifer McCabe goes out in public, because you can just ask her a question. You can ask people questions in public. Like, the reason Brian Albert doesn't go out in public is he doesn't want to be questioned. And they don't want to be questioned. Jen McCabe is so arrogant that she puts herself in public so lots of people see her. And I find that fascinating. And so I'm going to ask her questions. And she did this because she counted on the fact that, like, if I go to a kid's sporting event, no one's going to question me. I can hide here. These people hide behind kids. And that's fucking wrong. But there were no kids there either. The kids were on the field. There was no kids in the stands in the last row where they were sitting. The kids were on the field. So there's that. Okay. So appreciate that one. And the other Rumble rant is $20 from eMarty33. Says, where is the rest of the video of her driving out of her driveway after hitting John's car? Was the taillight there smashed? If not, no way to tell at scene. Ring camera records on movement. Where is the rest of the video of her driving out of her driveway? After they have the whole thing. Was taillight there of smash? I don't know the question. I mean, we've seen the video several times, but best I can answer that one for. Okay. Also, a couple we got a couple cash apps here we got to read. Give me a sec. Okay. First up. I had the wrong phone. I got the wrong phone. All right, hold on. Okay. Deanna says, we don't agree on all. This we do. Correct, Deanna. That's correct. So appreciate that. Nick sends a hundo. Thank you, Nick. $100. And he says, for please shout out to www.gottruthonsecretcourts.com. Got truth, 2 T's, gottruthonsecretcourts.com. So thank you, Nicholas. I appreciate that. Don't know what that is. Hopefully it's not porn, but he sent $100, so I'm going to read the card, period. Anyway, appreciate that, Nick. Thank you for that one. Okay, so let me see if I have, before we talk about Morrissey, let me see if I have any videos from tonight. Give me one moment. So some people are sending shit in. Okay. Wait, we have the whole thing? Is the whole video up? Somebody sent me a link to the Canton website, but I don't see the video on there. I see live stream links, but I don't see the actual video. So I'm going to say, where's the video? Where's the video? Okay, that's what I need is the video. Okay. All right. So, okay. So we got a couple. Do we have? All right. So let's watch Chris Albert get roasted. We got to watch Chris Albert get roasted. So all I heard was "be a man." So there he go again. He sits right there with John Connolly, who gave the weakest apology ever, and he got roasted too. And let's watch what happens here.
Be a man, grow up, get out. You work for me.
You work for me.
It's time to go. Fair enough. Thank you. Any idiot knows that Karen Reed is innocent.
Karen Reed is in. Any idiot knows that Karen Reed is innocent. Okay. What else we got here? What's this video? I don't know which one this guy is. This guy wore a freaking mask. And according to what people said, I guess this was what he said at the beginning. Somebody told me. Let me read this message I got about this fella. Okay. He said that at the hold on. The meeting started with the chairman saying he's wearing a mask because his front teeth fell out and they're in his glove compartment. The meeting really started like that. This guy wore a mask and said, I don't have my mask. I'm wearing my mask, my chin mask here, because my teeth fell out and they're in my glove compartment. And I'm going to share that with the world. Sitting right in the front row is a woman with the green.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, fellow board members, ladies and gentlemen.
Okay, so he gave.
You know, I've proudly served our community for
Let me share. Hold on.
Truly honored.
Hold on one sec. Let me download these videos and send them to myself on Facebook. Save that. Save this one. Okay. One sec. If anyone has, let's see, any more videos, please send them my way. That'd be cool. I'd love to share as many of these as possible. All right. Let me stop sharing that screen. Oh, actually, let me play this some more. I didn't actually play the video, did I?
I'm a member of the Building Renovation Committee and also a member of the Norfolk County.
Norfolk.
In the middle school. Oh, yes, thank you. They rebuilt the replacement of the middle school. Hopefully, I moved to the middle school that's over 50 years old.
This guy looks like a cartoon character, doesn't he? This guy.
I'm a member of CASR, and I'm a member of the Master Implementation.
Wait, what? Oh, no, here it is.
And I'm a member of the Master Implementation.
He can't even say mass implement. So I guess they're asking him, what committees are you on? And he's like, I am on. What did he say again? Let's see it.
Middle school that's over 50 years old. So, yeah.
I'm a member of CASR, and I'm a member of the Master Implementation Plan.
I'm a member of CASR. Tell me that is not with an A at the end and he just added the R like a masshole. And the Mass Implementation Plan, which he got it out on the second try. I think this is the part where she asks what that stands for.
CASR stand for?
What does it stand for?
Canton Abuse.
So,
I'm new to it. We haven't been in a meeting yet. group that are getting together. We just, since I'm new to the board, I just got appointed to it recently.
Issues, do you know just what kinds of issues that board addresses?
Well, substance abuse. Yeah, it's a substance abuse board.
So one thing I brought up, Mr. Theodore, when you and Mr. Conley and I met over coffee in a meeting that I requested a few weeks ago, I suggested two things to you when you.
Okay, so that is freaking priceless. Where Chicken Parm Charlie doesn't know. You guys couldn't hear that? Oh, well, I don't understand how this shit works. You couldn't hear that? All right, 1 second. I just downloaded it. I'll play it on. I gotta play it again. Could you guys hear any of that? All right, let me. All right, I'll use this video. I gotta change my mic real quick. The volume was low. Let me play it one more time, just in case you missed this golden opportunity. Like, this is too good not to share. There we go.
Canton abuse, I'm new to it. I'm a member of CASA, and I'm a member of the Master Implementation Plan.
And what does CASA stand for?
CASA stand for? Canton abuse, I'm new to it. I haven't been to a meeting yet because the group that getting together, we just, since I'm new to the board, I just got appointed to it recently.
What kinds of issues, do you know just what kinds of issues that board addresses?
Well, substance abuse.
Okay, substance abuse. And I think that same woman made such a great point that she brought up. That's why I love you guys. You're so smart. She brought up, like, so you're on a substance abuse board. And if you social media page, there's pictures of you everywhere with your underage son drinking alcohol. Who, by the way, is everybody in town's talking about it. They think he's a murderer. So, like, what? I don't. Yeah, it was a little bit low there, but that's wild that he's even on a board and he doesn't even know what it stands for. I mean, substance abuse, of all the things that he could be on there for. Like, every picture of you guys involves you guys binge drinking. Like, John O'Keefe died on a night in which everyone, not just Karen Reed, everyone was plastered, including John. And you guys all drank and drove that night. Everyone did, not just Karen Reed. Everyone drank and drove to 34 Fairview Road. And some of you guys are cops. And you're on the whatever board. Okay. Sure thing. All right. Got a couple more videos I want to play. Let's see. The whole video's in my email. Okay. I'll have to check that out. I didn't get the email for some reason. But anyway, I just got sent a couple here. Let me play these from Canton Confidential. Okay, so I'll play this one. I don't know what's on these tapes, so I'm going to play. You're going to see him for the first time when I see him. And again, don't message or your thing will pop up and it'll be really awkward. So don't do that. All right. Close that. One day I'll have like a whole system. So this is terrible.
I think one of the things I do understand about what the select board does is that each of you also serve on committees in town.
Oh, I think.
And I was wondering if just each of you could just go around and tell us the committees that you currently sit on.
This is such a gotcha question. This is great.
Yeah, those three.
I'm a member of CASA, and I'm a member of the Master Implementation Plan.
And what does CASA stand for?
CASA stand for?
Yeah.
Canton abuse. I'm new to it. I haven't been to a meeting yet because
that's too good.
The group that getting together. We just since I'm new to the board, I just got appointed to it recently.
What kinds of issues do you know? Just what kinds of issues that board addresses?
Or substance abuse. Yeah, it's a substance abuse board.
So one thing I brought up, Mr. Theodore, when you and Mr. Conley and I met over coffee in a meeting that I requested a few weeks ago, I suggested two things to you when you asked me the exact question that you just asked the board, the room here. After we had a lengthy discussion about what it means to listen with curiosity, which I thought was the most important thing, I then suggested.
Can we just talk about how packed it is at a freaking select board meeting that you cannot get? These guys probably signed up for this thing and no one's ever going to pay attention to us or come to these meetings because who would? And then a guy got on the board of selectmen who's into some shady shit. And all of a sudden this happens. Like, this is democracy in action, folks. These fine people showing up. But again, I guess they're all, you know, according to some people, this is a mindless mob. So this woman, she might think that she's thinking for herself, but she's really just fooled by some propaganda from a very clever award-winning journalist, a very clever one.
That, or actually I asked you what were things that maybe could build some credibility, and we came to the time change, and I really appreciate that you brought that up tonight. And the second thing I suggested was involve the committees. And I think that in particular, I mentioned to you that because there are so many photos,
yes,
and unfortunately, Mr. Albert, I don't mean to make this a look at like we're all jumping on you right now.
Oh, we are.
But there are a lot of photos right now of that have been widespread of Mr. Albert in situations where there's underage drinking going on. And I think that one of the things, as I mentioned to you in private, I think would be important for the credibility of the board is to have members serve on boards that make sense and are a better fit for them.
Yeah.
And I mentioned in particular that I didn't think that Mr. Albert was maybe a good fit for the Canton Alliance on, I looked this up, substance abuse. So that was one
she knows what it
suggestion that I thought would be.
The Canton Alliance on Substance Abuse. She actually looked it up. She's not on the board, but she knows what it means. Unlike Chris Albert, who is on the board. Substance abuse. This dude killed someone. He killed someone. And we're talking about, oh my goodness gracious. Okay. Let's play another video that I was sending you. I got a few videos of the evening. Let's see what this one is.
Is that each of you also serve on committees in town?
Wait, did we already watch this one?
And I was wondering if
did I get sent this? I got sent the same one twice. Okay, cool. But I also have some other ones that I sent to myself. I'm going to play a couple of these.
The grandmother did.
Oh, this is good.
I'm disgusted. Number one, Mr. Conley, apology, not accepted.
Not accepted.
I don't know who wrote that apology, but the woman that was called effing random citizen deserves a true apology from the heart, not written down. So I don't accept that apology. I have lost complete faith in this town. I worked for Canton Police as the animal control officer with Mr. Dick Stein. May he rest in
R.I.P.
peace.
Pour one out. Dick Stein.
I drove a school bus for this town. I was a hairdresser in this town. I also worked for Stoughton Police. I know the insides and outs of everything. I went to school with a lot of these kids, and you may know me, you may not, whatever, it doesn't matter.
Doesn't matter.
But I'm disgusted. I'm ashamed to say that I'm from Canton.
Ooh, ouch.
And I need a better apology.
I need a better apology. Better get on your knees.
Final thing.
Final thing.
And Mr. Albert.
Oh boy.
Dude. You gotta go.
Dude, you gotta go.
It's a conflict of interest.
We're on.
It's not an admission of guilt.
Dude,
This is,
you gotta go.
This has to, right now, you're jumping into a comment period again.
All right, next one, next video. How about oh, this is Rita. She's great.
So that he can help reassure me that he is the right person to help us go forward. I just have one question for Mr. Conley, and then I'll zip it until the public comments. Mr. Conley, okay, you supported Mr.
Wow, oh, this is good too.
candidacy.
This
You
is good too.
Financially supported it, so it's reasonable to assume that he has great leadership and financial management skills. Can you tell us how he's going to help lead us through the
Dude,
skills that you're?
you gotta
How is
go.
he going to help lead us through this crisis?
The only thing I'm going to say is that if you look at the record, I supported all three candidates.
He supported all three.
For office.
What?
Someone's asked me. I donated. I have in the past. I donated to all three: Mr. McCourt, Ms. Lopez, and Mr. Albert.
Is that true? I mean, because so McCourt and Albert won. Lisa Lopez, the incumbent, lost. Who donates to all three? That's bizarre. Why not just donate nothing? Like what? Okay, whatever. I mean, he says he didn't, but it gets that can be documented if that's true or not. We'll give him the benefit of the doubt, but I don't believe this next part. You guys can't hear it. I'm sorry. It's as loud as it gets. It was just the way it was sent.
I donated all of them.
And I'm happy to hear that. So, but you donated to Mr. Albert. What skills did you think he had?
Rita,
Because you don't just give your money away.
Rita, if we could just it's got to go through the chair. You know,
Okay, I just
yeah,
wanted, I mean, I appreciate it, but it's our opportunity to ask a question. So you don't have any response for me, other than you supported three candidates.
I've always supported three because two out of the three people I would have to work with. And
Okay.
I didn't know Mr. Albert before he became a member of this board.
What?
His father. No, I did not.
People laugh.
Don't say I did
Again,
because I
okay,
did not.
That's about integrity. That's integrity right there.
Okay. I did not know. I did not know Mr. Albert. I had his brother Kevin in Little League. I was a Little League coach. And I knew his father for many, many years. I knew Mr. McCourt through his.
So he says he doesn't. I wonder if that's true. He's never met Chris Albert before this. Funny how no one in this town knows each other, except everybody in this town knows each other. Except when push comes to shove, then none of them know each other. Proctor doesn't know them. His whole family knows them, but Michael Proctor somehow missed it all. He was just not. It was like they locked Mikey Proctor in a closet whenever the Alberts came over, and he wasn't allowed to come out because he was a shame to the family. Oh, okay.
Chairman, fellow board members.
Oh, here's the
ladies and
apology.
gentlemen. As some of you know, I've proudly served our community for over 40 years, and I'm truly honored. I've allowed my emotions to get the better of me, and I truly apologize for my actions. I'm committed to being accountable to the people of this town.
Then resign.
I respect that everyone has a right to their voice and their opinion, and I pledge to set a better example in the future. Thank you for your consideration, and thank you for your time.
That's it. He didn't even apologize. He called that Rita woman a random fucking citizen. He got caught in a hot mic doing that. But you get that generic fortune cookie apology though. So that's nice. That's nice. Real accountability there. What's this one?
What Ms.
Oh, this is a good one.
Harrington,
Oh, I love this.
brought up. At the select board meeting of July 25th, I had, it's under old business, but at the meeting July 25th, I made a request through the chair that they reach out to Chief Rafferty on her availability to hold a question and answer period for concerned taxpaying citizens so that we can have an open discussion, not a one-on-one coffee talk in a much larger venue. My question is, were you guys able to secure a time and date with her? Do you recall that?
No,
It should be in the minutes of the last meeting.
Helena spoke out to the public saying that she will be willing to sit down one-on-one, two-on-two at the point. She's not ready at this time to entertain a group.
Did you guys have this?
What does that mean? It's not
Yeah, it was brought to my attention. It was a
What?
couple weeks. I don't remember how I got that information right off hand, but
The whole board, you guys all sat down with her or just one of you talked to her personally?
I had spoken with her. These were some of the suggestions, and this is what.
So again, the police chief works for the select board, and she got up there 2 weeks ago, whatever it was, and gave this rant about her sex life. She wanted to make it clear Kenny Berkowitz didn't smash. No push for Kenny. That was a really important thing. Like a murder in her town and a lot going on. But the number one thing she wanted to clear up is I didn't have sex with Kenny Berkowitz, which no one is talking about anyway. And her kids are not hooking up with the McCabe kids. So there's that too. Okay. Thank you. But she didn't address anything else besides that. And she said that she was going to have, that everybody who participated in that rolling rally is a criminal. Like she said that. Y'all violated statute 268, whatever. But none of us were arrested. And none of us were charged or told we couldn't do this because none of it was illegal. And she specifically called out 2 people in town, a woman by the name of, I think, Kathy McCormick, who is apparently a very civically engaged woman who I think she's on she's on the planning board or the library trustees. Somebody was on the library trustees. They got reamed out. Someone's on the planning board. They got reamed out. That was George Como, the brother of John, the guy that runs the Canton Confidential page. And so they got reamed out for one was an admin on a page that she didn't like, Canton Confidential. The other went to the rolling rally, which is because she doesn't like murders in her town. And she got publicly lambasted and told that she's a criminal by the police chief, who said she was going to meet with all these people and then never did.
Because I think that is a big part of this Canton moving forward, that you guys basically are her boss.
Yes.
So if she doesn't think that that's something that she wants to do, I think that you guys are able to demand that is something that she does. It's not a choice for her whether she wants to do it or not. It's up to you guys to hold her to accountability for some of the questions that this town may have. And as far as the topics that were brought up with the chief when she was here last time,
here we go,
that weren't germane to the question that was at hand with the block cameras. As far as the police chief on July 25th, she broke off topic about the block cameras being installed and pivoted towards discussing a murder investigation, and then doesn't leave any opportunity for anybody to ask her any questions on what went on in that investigation. Maybe she's not able to comment on some things, but she said
Here
that
we
the
go.
so-called intimidation of witnesses at a rally that was organized by an award-winning journalist. Aidan.
Yes.
She was concerned so much.
Yes.
Residents
Thank
of Canton,
you.
Maybe she should have had some officers on duty that day out following this rally
Yes.
around. I was there, and there were no police officers anywhere.
Okay,
I think this is germane to the whole subject, because
it will be.
we asked you guys to entertain a meeting with her.
How about if we do this? Okay, we'll continue.
I can bring it up in public comment, that's fine.
Actually, if you want to stay right there. Let's move on from this. Can't move forward. You know what we were looking.
Let's move on from this. Okay, mask boy, get your teeth out of the glove compartment there. So that guy's awesome. That is so awesome. That made my freaking night. I love you people so much. Got one more clip to show here, I think. Oh, what's this one? What's this? That was just sent. That was sent a couple. Okay, yep, here we go. Let me play this one. So this is when they talk about what they did. Again, this is the chief of police shitting on a woman because she's like on the library trustees or whatever, and she came to a rolling rally. And this is, they got, and Helena Rafferty called her a criminal for that.
The chief also accused an elected library trustee. Now we all know who she's talking about. Again, it's a small town, George Como, of being the co-administrator of a Facebook group where certain people were, quote, disrespected and dehumanized with innuendos. Now, George is probably the most polite person in town. If we lived in the South, we'd describe him as a Southern gentleman. George has never even been the slightest bit caustic on Facebook, and that's hard to do. Witty, yes. Mild innuendos, perhaps. But disrespectful and dehumanizing, I don't think he could be that if he tried. The site is Canton Confidential. They run a tighter ship than most. This is the site the police chief was talking about. I've seen people kicked out of that group for harassing other people. Uniformly, the harassers are McCabe and Albert supporters. Fake accounts they very wrongly think can't be traced. I was harassed by an Albert supporter who brought my dead father into it. My dead father, a World War II combat hero.
What?
And George immediately kicked the thug out of the group.
Good.
Now, we all know that there's a two-tier system in Canton.
Yeah.
Which is fine. You have the townies who are super important, and then you have the rest of us, the ones who pay most of the taxes to run this place, including electricity, like I said earlier. Both of these law-abiding residents who were wrongly called out by their police chief are townies. I don't know either of them well. They don't know that I plan to come here to talk about this, but I do know this. If this is how townies are now being treated, with baseless and absurd allegation, then boy, do the rest of us have a problem. Thank you.
Oh, mic drop. Mic drop. Okay. That was I love the remix there. So I guess that's George. George, I guess, I think he's a library trustee, I want to say. He admins a Facebook group, and he was called out for being the admin of a Facebook group because they didn't censor enough, I guess. Like the people were posting things. People were saying things in the group, like mean things about Helena Rafferty or Colin Albert, and the admin didn't do enough. And so Helena Rafferty is observing this page, and so she's going to use her position as a police chief to say, you're not silencing enough speech over there on that Facebook group, you random fucking citizen. What the hell? I don't know if there's a longer version of it.
Two people who were maligned at the meeting last time. I don't know them well, and I hope they don't mind law-abiding people in town and a person obviously of integrity, although I don't know her well, but that's easy to spot. Kathy was elected to the planning board who may be a criminal.
Oh, that's it. Here we go.
Who were maligned at the meeting last time. I don't know them well, and I hope they don't mind me bringing this up, but I feel the need to defend them because I know them to be good and decent and law-abiding people.
Yes.
At the last meeting, we heard from our police chief that we have a member of the planning board who may be a criminal because she used her First Amendment right to peacefully protest.
Oh, no.
Now, this is a small town, and we all know
peacefully protest
about Kathy Gibbs McCormick, one of the most law-abiding people in town.
Everyone knows about Kathy.
Although I don't know her well, but that's easy to spot.
She doesn't have a criminal record, at least.
Kathy was elected to the planning board with more votes than some of you guys were for your seat.
Ouch.
Kathy a criminal? Except she's not. She peacefully protested in front of the police station, and you may see many of us there in coming months. On how things go.
Oh,
she was even at
watch out.
Protests the police chief objected to.
Really?
The part where people stood on public property in front of certain houses, again, peacefully holding signs. I saw the pictures. I recognized many Canton taxpayers standing on the very streets and sidewalks that they had paid for.
Ooh, that's a
Some
good
of them
point.
are grandmothers.
Good point.
Lovely people.
Yeah.
The police chief told
They were
us they
kids.
were breaking the law. Why didn't the chief arrest anybody?
It's a great question.
Why doesn't she arrest them now?
Great question.
I think we all know why. That little thing called the First Amendment. It just seems unwise to me to expose the town to potential legal liability by having the police chief facelessly describe upstanding, law-abiding, widely respected people who have never gone to jail
Yes.
as being possibly criminal, and doing it at a select board meeting.
Yes.
I don't think the grandmothers of Canton, many of whom were at that
I know it's
peaceful protest, like being called that. I think there needs to be an apology, not behind the scenes, but in public when
Yes.
the allegation was made.
Yes.
The chief also
Look at Duty, this loser. I mean, he can't even look. They can't even look him in the eyes. Is that Lucky's brother? Is that Lachlan? I don't even know. But this guy can't. Again, his daughter was in the house that night. Like, I have questions for this guy. Like, why was your daughter was on property where somebody was found dead shortly thereafter? doesn't mean she's a suspect in it, but like she's not even going to be questioned. Not even questioned. If I could go down the list of people who were there and not questioned, it's much longer than the list of people who were actually questioned. So yeah, play some more.
Tuesday, an elected library trustee.
Okay.
We all know who she's talking about. Again, it's a small town. George Camo, being the co-administrator of a Facebook group where certain people were, quote, disrespected and dehumanized with innuendos.
Oh no, not innuendos.
Now, George is probably the most.
Okay. So we already heard that part about George there. Leave George alone. Give George a break. Okay. So there were some other videos. Our friend Carol Kelly there, who's a perfect example of somebody who has come around on this issue and is 100% team Karen Reed is innocent now, who was unsure of it at first, like a lot of people were. And she looks at the facts and it's just undeniable. It's just undeniable. And lived in Canton her whole life. She cried during her thing tonight. It was really touching because she's like, what the hell's happening to my town? Like, this is embarrassing. And I heard the news was there. Like, this is embarrassing that this is happening in your town. And hopefully we're going to start a revolution there. I cannot wait when these indictments come to just replay the tape of Helena Rafferty and Michael Morrissey defending these people. I mean, they are pitting their entire futures on whether or not Colin Albert is innocent or guilty. Like, would you want to assume that kid's innocent based on some of the videos that he's made and his past behavior? We'll see. All right. Before we get into the Morrissey stuff, let me just read a couple. Let me see if we have any more turtle chats. If we do, let me bang through these. All right. First one's from Gary. Gary says sends $50. Thank you, Gary. And he says free Karen Reed from roadplates.com. Roadplates.com. Gary sends that in. Thank you very much, Gary. I appreciate that. Kristen sends $24 and says, hey, Turtle Guy, thanks for finding the time. Oh, thank you, Kristen. I appreciate that. Next up, we have $10 from a guy stuck in Morrissey's chin. Says, can we get brackets for the best piece of evidence? 64 pieces from how long to die in cold. Ooh, I like that. To no blood to cell phone. Ooh, I might have to do that. I have thought about doing like a Canton Madness tournament. Or like maybe we can have like a Canton trivia night. Like let's have some fun with this. If we're gonna do, let's go all the way. That wouldn't be a bad idea. Okay, so I appreciate that one, and I like the suggestion there from a guy stuck in Morrissey's chin. Next up, Meg sends $10. Says, does the prosecution say Karen Reed hit John and launched him into the yard or ran him over? Great question. The answer to that is I don't fucking know, because they don't have a theory. They have no theory. And you know why they have no theory? It's because once they have a theory, they have to stick with it. And no matter which one they choose, whatever theory they come up with, it's going to get torn to shreds. Let's suppose, like the two things that Meg offers here, did they say that she was launched into the yard or that she ran him over? Let's say they go with launched into the yard. Like, that's the theory. He's launched into the yard. Well, the problem with that is he lands in the yard. And so he doesn't land on asphalt or anything like that, which makes it really hard to get lacerations on your arm or your skull to crack open. Really hard to do that on grass. If they go with and there's also no dents in the back of the vehicle or anything like that. So that's option A. Option B, they go with he was run over defense. Well, a couple problems with that. There would need to be blood, right, on the vehicle. And also, like, so how was he found 12 feet from the curb? So if she ran him over, there would have to be tire marks on the lawn. I guess they have to go with the launched one. They got to go with launched. But no matter what theory they come up with, it's not going to make any sense. The defense is begging for a theory. They're like, can you please tell us what you're saying happened? Can you please tell us? What is your theory for the cuts? What is your theory about the cocktail glass that you keep talking about? What about that hair on the bumper? You guys keep talking about this. It's a human hair, which again, 7 billion people narrows it down to. It's a human They are sticking to that story that they got a hair on the bumper. That is their ace in the hole. They keep talking about this goddamn hair. Oh, there's a hair on the bumper. It's human hair. So it's got to be John O'Keefe's. And it's got to come from when Karen Reed ran him over with their car and somehow hair ended up on there. It's the only fucking logical. Duh. Like, that's what they're going with. And I when I talked to Kevin today, I'm like, explain. He's like, both sides have evidence. I'm like, do they? What is the evidence on the other side? Can you go over the totality of the evidence on the other side? He's like, well, he goes, there's taillight. I go, according to the police report, there was no taillight there at 6 a.m. The Canton Police Department found no taillight. He's like, well, the state police are better at it. That's where you're going with, Kevin. Come on. The state police are better at it? Well, it's found, the snowplow came along. There was less than 2 inches of snow. And Lucky Loughran did one plow through. And there was no body there when he went through. And do you know how many pieces have you looked at the Discovery? Do you know how many pieces? Let's take a little thing in the comments. Let's see who comes the closest to this. Do you guys know how many pieces of taillight the state police CERT team found at 5:45? Guess how many pieces of taillight have been entered into evidence in Discovery? I want to see your guesses on this one. How many pieces of taillight do you think they have discovered? 2, 4. What else are people saying? 24, 1, 12, 5, 3, 13, 0, 4. Okay. Nobody's close. There have been 47 pieces of taillight entered evidence. So the state, the Canton police didn't miss 1 or 2 pieces of taillight. They missed 47 pieces of taillight. 47. This is what the other side wants you to believe. But there's 2 sides, guys. There's 2 legitimate sides. The one side says that the Canton police missed 47 pieces of taillight, and they expect you to just believe that. That's a totally legitimate side. We should take that side seriously. Like, that's like saying there's 2 sides of what's for dinner for my kid. On the one hand, we want to give them chicken, rice, and broccoli because that's what's for dinner. On the other hand, he wants ice cream. So, I don't know what I should give him because there's 2 sides and these 2 sides are equal. One of the sides is the kid wants fucking ice cream. The other side is he needs chicken, rice, and broccoli to live. So I don't know. Or else you're going to turn out like John Connolly. Maybe he can have the John Connolly diet. I don't know. But they're equal. Both sides are equal. I mean, grow up. Not everything has 2 equal sides. Not everything has 2 equal sides. If there was another equal side, I'd hear it. But 47 pieces. Look at the Discovery. 47 pieces of taillight have been handed over in evidence. That is what the Canton Police Department missed. So I don't know that is apparently what they're going with. So are there spikes on the back of her car that caused the dog bites or claw marks? I know. She is the only Lexus that's ever come equipped with teeth. It's crazy how that worked out. But it only got 1 arm, though. Only 1 arm, at least. Is this where the broken glass comes into play? I mean, I assume that the broken glass was left there because the initial plan was to say that he got hit over the head with the glass, that she hit him over the head with a glass, not backed into him. They didn't come up with that plan until they saw that she had, as fate would have it, broke her taillight on the back of John's car. And so they went with that because they're like, oh, let's go with that anyway. That's more believable than this 100-pound woman hitting him over the head with a glass. Okay. All right. John sends $100. Thank you, John. And he wrote the little haiku here or something. He goes, from Morrissey. No relation to that fat, useless DA cunt. 2 words, Doc. You're good. I appreciate that, John. I appreciate that, sir. Thank you. Ron sends $27 and he says, good on you. 1 word, good on you. I appreciate that, Ron. John Barron sends $25, says, have you had follow-up conversations with the retired journalist that Berkowitz messaged asking him to remove his tweet about the pillar of the community, Brian Albert? I know he initially wanted to remain anonymous, but after everything that happened these past 4 months, I'm curious if they'd speak publicly about what Berkowitz did. I'd assume that they also may be called as a defense witness. Well, your assumption, sir, is 100% correct. So, when I, the only time I've spoken to the defense attorneys, I have spoken to them, is sometimes if I write a story, they read my stories and they're like, can you get me in touch with this person? We'd like to speak with them. No problem. I'll hook them up. Like, that's it. That's the extent. We don't share critical information. I don't ask them, can you give me this? Because they're not going to give me shit. I've asked before. They don't give me anything. But if they read my stories, when I get emails from attorneys all the time about stories I've worked on, they're like, can you get me in contact with this person? Sure. No problem. So they got me. So that's that. So yeah, the reporter who Ken Berkowitz asked to take down the tweet mentioning Brian Albert on February 1st, 2022, that Berkowitz contacted, that reporter is willing to testify at trial. That's one thing I'll tell you right now. And they will. And so you'll know who it is if we get there. They're going to testify against Ken Berkowitz at trial, who, as far as I'm concerned, is one of the underrated co-conspirators here. I think that we are overlooking, he gets lost in this. I think Ken Berkowitz, he might flip, he has to be a target of this, his involvement in this, finding the taillight. The second you start finding more taillight, and that includes the 47 pieces includes what Kenny found, who's not sleeping with Helena Rafferty, guys. They're not having sex. Just want to make that very clear. Okay. So thank you very much, John Brand. Good question. Annette sends $10, says, hi, Annette again. Seriously, so many good reporters show up at people's homes all the time to ask them questions. They go to the person's work, places of business. Yeah, his name's Mike Wallace. He made a career out of it. Reporters chase people in parking lots. And if Jen McCabe really cared about her kids, she wouldn't be covering a murder. That's a great point. So I really don't care about her kids since she doesn't. So gloves are off. So keep doing what you do. I see no wrong in what you do. I'm from New York. This is how we roll. Like Mata said, it's not easy getting in there and asking questions. I know. It's like it was like that. This is fun. Like to see you do that. Go up to this woman and ask her questions in public. And again, I wish no ill will upon Jen McCabe's kids. I feel bad for them. That, if this all works out the way it should, their mom will be locked up for a bit, for a decade or so. Hopefully. So, I mean, that's not them anyone should be celebrating. But Jen did this, not me. That was her choice. Katie sends $10 and says, do you need to be able to pass a Corey check to serve on boards and interact with kids in town? Asking for Chris Albert. Apparently not. And somebody else brought that up. Like, dude, you killed someone. Why didn't you tell us that you went to jail? Why didn't you tell us that you have a $65,000 tax lien and like 11 judgments against you? This one woman roasted the shit out of him today. It was great. Tony sends $5, says, I still believe that the Anna Walsh murder case is having a major impact on the Karen Reed case. Totally agree. I find it fascinating that state police found all Brian Walsh's deleted Google searches, but did he? I don't think he deleted them. He did them on his kid's iPad. So he tried hiding them on his kid's device. I have a feeling they're delaying this Karen Reed case to get Brian Walsh behind bars before shit hits the fan. Love the work you're doing. Keep it up. Yellow Cottage Tales is a psycho, he says. Well, I don't think he's a psycho. I don't think Kevin's a bad guy at all. I thought what he said yesterday was uncalled for and highly disappointing. but I don't think that makes him a bad person. Mary sends $50 and says, imagine what if a dead cop was on the neighbor's lawn on Fairview. Brian Albert wouldn't be all over that. Maybe he wouldn't sleep through such a disturbing situation. I know. And I pointed this out on Facebook, I think it was yesterday. Like, Brian Albert's story was he didn't wake up, right? With all these people on his lawn and a dog probably barking its face off about what's happening out there. Now, keep in mind, if you're Brian Albert, like, that's first of all, it's going to wake you up. It's going to wake somebody up. And they're going to wake you up and be like, what the fuck's going on out there? And you don't know where your daughter Caitlin is. Because Caitlin left at 12:15. Remember? That's the story. Caitlin left at 12:15. And also a whole bunch of other people, including underage people who were drinking, also left. Now there's a body on your lawn. And you have to assume that whoever that body could very well be your daughter. If you were truly taken by surprise, which you weren't. So he didn't know where his daughter was after a night of drinking. Maybe something bad happened. Maybe she had a heart attack. Maybe something happened. I don't know. There's a dead body on your lawn, but you don't go out. You don't go out. So, yeah. Okay. So that is that. Do we have any more turtle chats? A couple more here. Susan sends $24, says, you need, what's with the 24? You need an LMFAO emoji. Thank you. Don't we all? Thank you, Susan. Erica sends $50 and says, donation made on behalf of the courageous and articulate female residents of Canton that spoke at the Board of Selectmen meeting tonight. You will get your town back. I was moved. Weren't we all, Erica with the K? Weren't we all? I appreciate that graciously. On the Cash App here, a couple Cash Apps to read off here. Anthony sends $20 and says, for whose soccer game did you show up to? It wasn't a soccer game, it was a lacrosse game. It was Billerica. Should we watch that? Let's get old school here and watch. I'm going to go watch that tape again because we need to watch that. Oh, the roast. I got somebody sent me the roast. Well, I got to play the roast of Chris Albert. It's too good not to share. Let me show you, let's see, video of me confronting Jen McCabe at the game. And you tell me what's wrong with this. Tell me what's wrong with this. Because I can't assume everyone's seen this. Most have, I'm sure. I can't assume that everyone has seen this. Jen McCabe court audio. Okay. All right. Hey, Matt, how you doing, pal? Good. How are you doing? How you doing? Hey, Jen, how you doing? Fancy seeing you here. How are you?
All right.
So how did court go the other day?
Went great.
Sorry, do you have a child on the team?
Do you?
I do, so I'm trying to watch.
No, I'm at a public event, so I can do whatever I want. So anyway, so Jen, I have a question. Did you think that you could outsmart Karen Reed? Did you? Do you think that's funny? Do you think that's funny? How long did I in cold? So then, this is not harassment. This is a genuine question from a reporter. There's overwhelming evidence that this woman was involved in killing a cop and trying to frame Karen Reed. So as an investigative journalist, an award-winning one at that, I'm wondering, like, did you think you were going to get away with this? I mean, that's my first question. Did you think you could outsmart Karen Reed? Now, I learned something from this because she smiles and she laughs. She thinks it's funny. That in and of itself tells me a lot about her. So I learned something from this interaction. What is this gentleman doing? Look at that, the rage face. Hey, Jen. Are you worried about what's going to happen to your family when you go to jail?
Don't touch me.
Why are you shaking,
Touch
dude?
me again.
Why are you shaking?
Again. Touch me again.
So, Jen, are you worried about what's going to happen when your kids go to jail?
Touch me again.
When you go to jail, I apologize.
Touch
To
me.
your children. Are you worried at all about that?
Huh?
Huh?
Touch
Oh,
me.
oh, oh,
Go
what's
ahead.
going on here?
Oh, you're so fast.
Oh. And by the way, this is also showing me something. I'm learning about who these kind of people are. Like, these are the kind, imagine if they're willing to do this sober on a weekday in public at 5 o'clock, think of what they're willing to do drunk at 12:30 during a snowstorm when John O'Keefe saunters in there and starts getting lippy with Colin Albert. What are they willing to do then? I mean, he's doing this in public to me. Okay. Oh, what are we doing?
I'm sure you were.
Jen, did you think that you could outsmart Karen Reed? Yes or no? Did you? Why did you Google how long to die in cold, Jen? A month after. Why did you Google how long to die in cold, Jen? Why did you Google how long to die in cold, Jen? Do you have any answer for that?
Is that the pervert that was just?
Do you have any answer for that? Miss McCabe, do you have any answer for that? Why should I leave, sir? I just have some questions. I just want to know why she Googled how long to die in cold. I just wanted to know why she Googled how long to die in cold. I'm just curious. I'm just curious. I'm just curious. I'm just curious. I'm being assaulted by an umbrella man. What is going on here? What is happening right now? What is happening,
my friend?
What is happening? I'm with him. This is what? Why do we have to put? We could have our phone out in public. We're just trying to watch a lacrosse game, sir.
This is a school-sponsored event.
Yes, it is. How do you feel about murder of police officers? How do you feel about murder of police officers? Okay, well, she murdered a police officer.
No, that is so untrue.
Oh, it's not. Then why did she Google how long? And so there we go, too. Again, what do we learn from this? This woman's comment. What'd she say? That's not true. So now we know that members of the Canton community apparently are sticking to this idea that Jen McCabe didn't do this, but she did. Therefore, it's my job to spread awareness to this because no one else is going to do it. So I'm going to do it. Dying cold.
She did it. It's already been proven wrong.
Oh, really? How has it been proven wrong? Oh, how long? How has it been? I didn't hear anything. How did you? So how is it proven wrong, Matt? How is it proven wrong, sir? I learned something from that. It was proven wrong by journalists. That's the fact that was the best he could come up with. Only solidified the fact for me that Google search was legit, because the best defense that he could come up with was it's been proven in court, which it hasn't, by journalists, which it hasn't. He doesn't even understand this. Court TV is airing Karen's case now. I mean, I have the live stream up here. It looks like they have this woman from the Daily Mail on. Is that what you guys are talking about? People are saying, is it this? Because I have the stream up over here of the incident. Let me pull it up. This woman from the Daily Mail, this reporter, which is good. I mean, Daily Mail is an international newspaper or website, whatever it is. Is this one you guys are talking about?
Well, Vinny, they have a really long history. They had actually dated in their 20s and lost touch and then reconnected more than a decade or so later through social media and then started dating again. So they have quite a few years.
Oh, we've already
under
seen
their
this
belt
one.
just being in each other's lives and being together. And their relationship had transpired in a way where things were good for a little while and then they seemed not so great. And
First of all, what the fuck does this woman know about anything? They seem not so great based on what? Do you know them? Why are we even talking about that? It seemed not so great based on what the fuck do you know about Karen Reed's relationship with this man? Oh,
the weeks leading up to O'Keefe's death, it seemed that their relationship had gotten a little bit rocky. There was a fight around New Year's Eve. There were some issues with the family and how O'Keefe took care of his sister's children or his relatives' children. At first, she loved that, and then it became kind of Karen Reed's responsibility. So things do seem a little rocky by the time we get to the end of January.
Okay, so let's go to the end of January and let's talk about that night. We've got a little bit of a timeline I want to walk through with you to try to get a better understanding of what generally was happening and what they were doing. We start at 7:37 p.m. John O'Keefe arrives at CF McCarty's in Canton.
Okay.
And then
So I've seen some of this. It's not that enlightening, but I'm just happy they're talking about it. So this is the replay of what was on earlier. Okay. One more. I'll read the couple cash apps that I got in 1 second, but I got another video here. Let's see, where'd it go? All right, where'd it go? I thought I sent this video to myself. Did I send this to myself? I got the roast. We gotta watch the roast. Well, all right, I'll read a couple more cash apps while the roast loads. So we got that one from Anthony. We got Paula Killeran. Paula Killeran sends $10 and says, for Fat McCabe owns a cybersecurity consulting company. He does, ironically. So that's weird. Bethany sends $25, says no comment, but thank you very much, Bethany. Next up, we have Caitlin Poole sends $10 and says, for Boom Roasted. Thank you, Caitlin. Appreciate that. Anna sends $25 and says, for the woo. Thank you, Doctor. You're very welcome, Anna. Sheila sends $5 and says, how many boxes of wine is Jillian drinking tonight? Answer, all of them is the correct answer. All of them. Jason sends $10 and says, for poor Colin Bang Bang. Poor Colin Bang Bang. He's such a victim in this, guys. He's really sad. He's really sad. And the adults in his life are going to take good care of him. They're going to protect poor Colin Albert, who is just such a victim in this, man. Poor Colin Albert has such a bright future in front of him. Okay. Let me see if I have this video. Oh, okay. Let me play this. Let's watch the roast of Chris Albert here, shall we?
For suggestions about moving forward, would you guys change the rules or consider changing the rules of being even running for election on the select board? So for example, if someone is in debt and, so for example, if someone is summoned to court 11 times and 11 times doesn't show and has thousands of dollars worth of debt he doesn't pay, I think that's something voters need to know. And I'll go over that during public comment, but I think that might be something you might want to build into your rules. So you know who we're getting as candidates, or would I do that as a warrant at town meeting, suggest new rules before you get to run for to be a select board member?
I'd have to defer to the town council on that. That's out of our purview, correct?
Okay,
Mr.
so
Durant?
I would speak with the town council about that.
But he's right. I could have him speak to it now if he.
No, she's like, I just want to roast Chris.
He's coming up right now.
In a democracy, pretty much anybody can run for office. And it's not the job of government to tell you who to vote for, or who's better, or who's not better. That's the job of the press. That's the job of voters. That's the job of one final comment. They're all regulated by state law. Elections are regulated by state.
Okay, I thought she later goes into it. She's like, you have a $65,000 tax lien and all this shit, Chris Albert. Like, you can't take care of yourself. So, all right. Do we have any more turtle chat? Okay, cool. All right. So we didn't really get into Michael Morrissey shit. But I did a couple blogs on this douchebag today, and he's, I feel like we all don't like Jen McCabe, and we all don't like Brian Albert, and we all don't like Bang Bang, and we all don't like Chicken Parm Charlie, and and then there's Jill Daniels, and these are the sexier, funny, entertaining, people involved in this conspiracy. But in my opinion, and Lizzie Proctor, of course, but in my opinion, the two biggest villains in this story don't have the last name Albert or McCabe. The two biggest villains in the story are Michael Proctor and Michael Morrissey, because they represent institutions that are supposed to protect us from people like Colin Albert and Brian Albert and stuff like that. Like, they have violated our trust more than anyone. They are more guilty than anyone. And poor Lunchbox Lally. Okay. Now, I don't feel bad for that asshole at all. Let's be very clear. I'm making fun of him a little bit. But Lunchbox, there's probably like what, 10 or 15 ADAs in Norfolk County. And the district attorney is the one who gets to decide who's going to be in charge of each case. Now, this really important case that they have here, who did they put on this case? I heard the prosecutor in the Michael Chestnut trial. He was sharp, right? He seemed like a competent adult. I've heard other ADAs argue in that same courtroom who seem good at their job. And they throw up the guy with no flavor, who just reads off a paper and looks like his mommy did his hair gel that morning. And that's why we call him Lunchbox. And he had to have been assigned this, right? And I think this is what it comes down to, Byron. They don't care about winning. They have no desire to win this. They just want to try it and get it over with. And poor John's innocent, their family there is just like going along with this. And like, dude, you're going to lose, right? Karen Reed's not going to jail. So then what? Like, how mad are you going to be? How mad are you going to be at the prosecution and Michael Proctor? Like, why are you not angrier about that? If you really believe that Karen Reed did this, how are you not so upset with the prosecution and Michael Proctor for bringing a case that is so tainted and flawed and incompetent that your family member can't get justice? How are you not ripshit furious with them? That's wild to me. That's wild to me. But anyway, tomorrow, guys, Michael Morrissey is going to be in Canton. Anybody coming tomorrow? I know it's kind of like last minute, and that's fine. I'd do it alone if I needed to. I don't give a shit. But tomorrow, Michael Morrissey is holding, it's just like he invites you to his annual summer barbecue at the Adams Inn, which is not a fundraiser. Your attendance is your contribution. So maybe we can go in. And 5:30 to 8 p.m. Now, I've been told that, because I'm doing this, Quincy police will be there, but that they all support Turtleboy. So they're on police are on our side, of course, because police are disgusted by this. Every cop I talk to is in agreement with me about this case because they're not stupid. They're like, what an embarrassment these clowns of Canton are. So I'll be there tomorrow. It starts at 5:30. I'll be there at 4:30 with my megaphone. And we're going to be doing some videos outside there. And I'm going to try to go in if I can, because why can't I go? I'm a member of the public. I want some barbecue. I'm hungry. It's dinner time. So I'm going to go in there and try to have a conversation with Michael Morrissey, because I got some questions from Michael Morrissey. Of course, I'm going to be streaming video in it. Richie will be there with me. We're going to have a good time. Is anyone, else planning? Oh, so Brian's going to come. All right, cool. So we're going to get some people there, man. We're going to get some people there. And by the way, if anybody has a boat, it's right on the Neponset River. Like where it's in the gazebo outside, and it's right on the Neponset River. Wouldn't that be fun if somebody had a boat and wanted to take a little trip right around that time? Wouldn't that be fun? We'll see. But anyway, as I said here, so they're having this event tomorrow, and I just looked at Morrissey's, like, who is Morrissey? Well, okay, let's talk about his background. So before he got involved in anything, he was elected to the state house in 1976 as a state rep when he was 22 years old, right out of college. That's his first job, state rep. And he won a primary in 1976, like a Democratic primary, with 54% of the vote. Never challenged again after that. No opponent. One opponent in 1984. He got 84% of the vote, and that was in the primary. So he just kicks ass there because Massachusetts is a one-party state. And then in 1992, he's like, let's go state senate. Wins the primary there. That's the big challenge, is winning the primary. And then coasts. No opponent, no opponent, no opponent, no opponent. So he's like, fuck it. 2008, I've been here for 32 years at this point, collecting a paycheck from the taxpayers while running a law firm on the side. Somehow I have time for both. And, I'm just going to continue to feed off the public tit. And he had made a lot of political connections at this point. And Bill Keating, who was the prior DA of Norfolk County, announces he's running for Congress, and he's been in Congress since 2010. And so his seat's open. And Keating has a close relationship with Morrissey. And yeah, you're the next white guy up on, it's your turn to be DA. So he gets to be the DA, and he wins that easily. He got in 2010, I think 60% of the vote against an independent candidate named John Coffey. Wins that pretty easily. And then nobody's run against him. 99% of the vote, 98% of the vote, 98% of the vote. He's sitting on a war chest of over $500,000 that he doesn't have to spend because no one runs against him. But he's still, every couple of years, he's like, vote for me.
Hello, I am Michael Morrissey, a fourth generation Quincy resident.
Oh, God. Oh, God. And by the way, Yuri Bukaki and Brian Tully, the immediate bosses of Michael Proctor, who signed off on all of his shady reports, have both donated heavily to Morrissey's campaign over the years, even though Morrissey has never been challenged. Imagine giving your money, like, you know who needs my money? You know who needs $250 right now? This guy running unopposed. He could really use my money. It's just so obvious, pay for play. They donate to his campaign, and then nothing happens. And by the way, I'm going on Howie Carr. Or not Howie Carr. New Howie Carr. I'm going on with Grace Curley on Thursday afternoon. I don't know what time. So I'm going on there. We're talking about it on the Howie Carr channel. It's hard to get Howie Carr out of your mindset. But then this story, we don't just read the story if you haven't already. This story's sick. This is another one of Morrissey's buddies here named William O'Connell, who is the biggest piece of shit ever. This creeper is a multimillionaire developer from Quincy who, knows Morrissey. By the way, Morrissey, read about his crash in 2013. You thought Tim Murray's crash was suspicious? This guy gets in a crash in the middle of the day, says he blacked out because it was hot. Apparently he didn't have AC in his car, and he called a pizza place like minutes before. So that took a lot out of him, ordering a goddamn pizza. And he crashed. Okay, Mikey Mo. Okay. Oh, look at this guy. Oh, God. So who looked into that case? Well, he didn't investigate himself because he's such an ethical guy. He hands it off to the Worcester County DA, Joe Early, who's arguably the only DA in the state who's more corrupt than he is. He's the one that orchestrated Troopergate, which prior to Karen Reed was really our biggest story that we'd ever done. He ordered a state trooper to erase sentences from an arrest report for this scag here named Ali Bebo, who got pulled over or who crashed while high under the influence of heroin, and then told Trooper Skeevior, do you know how many guys' dicks I had to suck to get that? And, if I suck your dick, will you let me go? And Joe Early called the colonel up and said, hey, can you tell this idiot trooper to erase that? He refuses, and he's reprimanded for that. And that became known as Troopergate. So this guy comes along, and so that's Joe Early, the guy who's, fair and balanced. Right. Sure thing. He finds no grounds to bring charges against him. Okay. Then there's this guy, William O'Connell, who was previously charged with 5 counts in Norfolk Superior Court of trading cocaine for sex with a 14-year-old girl. This guy has donated heavily to Morrissey's campaigns in the past. So Morrissey's like, okay, well, Norfolk County DA is still going to prosecute this guy, but we'll have a special prosecutor. Like, he's special. He'll come down on him. Except Morrissey still had his hands in it and impounded the affidavit of his arrest report. So we don't know what crazy shit was in this guy's apartment and stuff. And he has it impounded. Well, the Patriot Ledger sues and says, no. We have a right to see that. A district court judge in, I believe, Quincy says, no, the Patriot Ledger has a right to read that affidavit. It's an arrest report. They have a right to read that. And instead of taking the L, Michael Morrissey appeals it. And it goes to the Supreme Judicial Court, and he loses because he's a fucking moron. And he doesn't understand how the First Amendment works. And he's done this throughout the Karen retrials, impound shit that makes his friends look bad. That's all this guy uses his office to cover for his scummy, murdering, rapist friends. So this diddler here, this piece of shit, this human waste of space. Oh, look at this motherfucker. I guess this guy just goes around like he's a multimillionaire, just bangs 20-year-olds, and, you know, he's got a little Dave Portnoy syndrome in him. He ends up winning because the girl dies in a car crash. And he only has to plead guilty to the cocaine charge, and he gets probation for that. And probation is amended several times so he can go to Dubai and China and all these places and do business deals. And Boston Magazine wrote a horrific story about what this guy was accused of doing to the 14-year-old girl. Just absolutely. So if you haven't read this story, go back and read it and just understand that these are Michael Morrissey's friends. These are the people that he keeps in social circles. And I want to know, what does Brian Albert have on Michael Morrissey? I mean, that's a fair question to ask, because his insane rant the other day and his continuing prosecution of this makes no sense unless, of course, somebody's got something on him. So, like, what does Brian Albert have on Michael Morrissey? What skeletons are in Michael Morrissey's closet? Do you know how many skeletons in your closet you have after working on Beacon Hill for 50 years? Like, this guy probably knows so much shit, and, you know, crashes into shit during the middle of the day in Milton, but he's not drunk. He was totally sober, guys. It was a one-time fainting episode in the middle of the day. Hate when that, it was hot. It was really hot. And we're supposed to believe, like, I am convinced, I have no evidence of this, that somebody's got something on Morrissey. Like, that's the only way this makes sense for me, to him to continue doing this. And I wonder what Brian Albert, these people all have dirt on each other. They all have dirt on each other. And that's, you know, when blackmail comes in and cover-ups come in, and I can't wait to see how this all turns out, because someone's going down for this. So I hope to see a lot of you guys there tomorrow. Okay. Do you guys have any questions or anything? Fire away if you do. I don't want to miss anything here. Yeah, I'll be there at 4:30 tomorrow, even though it starts at 5:30, just so we can have a little, you know, a rally situation. Oh, that came back on. Okay. Did you see the Truth and Transparency's timeline? Yeah, a lot of people have messaged me about that. I have to sit down and watch it. I haven't had that much time to sit down and actually watch that. And somebody said that she wanted to come on the show. I haven't got any message from her, but she's welcome to message me, and we could talk about that for sure. Am I going to do live? I'll definitely do a live. So make sure you've hit that notification bell. What sign should you make? Anything you want. They said that 14-year-old, she was actually 17-year-old when she died, and they made a point to point out that the car she was driving at 3:30 in the morning in Malden was not her car. So they're like, you know, suggesting that, yeah, she's a bad person. You know, she's stealing cars. That's how they do on the way out. That's how they get you on the way out. When Chris Albert or Jem McCabe say they knew John was dead at 5, it was When? Well, you answer your own question at 4:55. Wasn't that Julie Albert that said that? I forget. I'll definitely be live streaming tomorrow for sure. Come on. His name is William O'Connell from Quincy. So look it up and all that shit will come up. What is your opinion on the young Jurks? That's Brian Riccio's club. Brian Riccio, first of all, he's nobody. But I like the young Jurks. I mean, he came on and he had me on, and it was the biggest audience he's ever had. And we got along great. I thought we got along splendid. So he seemed nice to me. That's all I can judge people on is how they are to me. And he seemed cool to me. You're going to take a break and do a live show, fantasy football draft. I don't know if I'm going to do fantasy football draft this year. I usually do it. It's just, I don't like getting stuck with the same team. I like to do FanDuel. I like to do team every week. So I don't even know if I'm going to do it this year. My sign just might say, "We don't stop." We don't stop. No, I haven't heard from Lucky lately, but I should call him. Lucky, if you're watching here, in case you haven't seen, it's been 3 or 4 weeks, dude. You're good. Nothing happened to you. 47 pieces of tail. Apparently, I need to do a blog about that because that is not common knowledge, and it really should be. All right. Stop. All right, guys. Want to make sure I didn't miss any turtle chats. It looks like I didn't there. Let me just check my Cash App. I don't think I missed anyone. Cool. All right, guys. So thank you guys all for joining the show tonight, man. Over 2,000 people strong on here. Over another 1,000 people are still watching on Rumble. Great to see. I love my Rumble rats. Shout out to the Rumble rats over there. But we will see you guys. You missed the Dono. Yeah, sorry. If I missed the Dono, did I miss one on the Rumble rants? Oh, wait, we do have one for $5. Tracy Smith sends $5, says, "Hey, Doc, if this career doesn't work out, you should do stand-up. You have everyone laughing their asses off." Well, thank you very much. I appreciate that. I'm glad you find me amusing. My clown to you. I appreciate that. Oh, and I also missed Pillar226 sends $20 and says, "I can't wake up to breaking news. There are new charges and old charges dropped in the Kearney case." That is going to be a great day when that happens. You're absolutely right about that. Okay. All right, guys. So we will see you guys all. We'll see some of you tomorrow. And we'll see some people on Turtle Club Thursday. And I'll be on Grace Curley on Thursday. And we got a big week ahead of us. And we'll see everyone else Saturday. Peace, Turtle Riders.